on you anyway. Whoa, 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 whoa. I can feel like 80 rats in my Marys. Me and Drizzy back to back is getting scary. If you fucking with my eyes, just don't come near me. Get out my way.
All right, good afternoon, Synergy team. I am excited to be your host this afternoon for our first virtual format system. My name is Lauren Stein. I am part of the amazing Haig and Stein family, and I just want to welcome all of you here, and I'm going to be your MC for the afternoon, and I'm fired up. So I want to make sure that you guys take massive notes. You should have your journal out and ready. You should need to stay focused. Make sure your kids are busy and ready to be on their own for the next few hours, and make sure you have no distractions. Turn your cell phones off, and it's time for us to rock, all right? So I'm excited. I'm going to bring up our first speaker. And this gentleman is an amazing man of faith. He's a husband. He's an amazing father to his wonderful kids. He's a CEO with WFG, and he's one of the highest income earners here in the Synergy team. And I'm excited to hear what he's going to share with us today because he's on fire. So please give it up. He's going to be talking about how to leverage the system and the do's and don'ts of Zoom. So our first speaker this afternoon, Mr. Christopher Slayman.
All right, can you hear me okay, Lauren?
Yeah, we can.
You can? Okay. Hang on, I'm getting some sort of background noise or interference. Okay. I think that'll eliminate, you can still hear me okay?
Yes, you're good.
Yes, excellent. Okay, Evelyn or Alyssa, whoever's gonna be running my PowerPoint, let me know when you've got that up and ready to go. So I'm going to talk real quickly about this system. I've got a few minutes to share with you guys really about this system and what that means in the new era. How do we look at the system differently today, or do we look at it differently at all today? Is it the same system that we've always been running? Here's what I would suggest to you. The system has not changed. Here's what today's meeting is about. It's about tweaks as to the way that we are following that system. But the system itself is still not changed. The system itself is still at the core of what we're doing and how you go about running a successful business. It's critical to that. And so I want to challenge you today. Some of you have been with us a minute. Some of you have been with us a while. Some of you are like, yeah, I know the system. I've trained in our office in the system. I've done business format system schools. I've gone a bit. I've read the book. Like some of you are like, I know. I want to challenge you to look at this with a new set of eyes and to hear it with a new set of ears. Both the parts that you really know well and you're familiar with, as well as the parts of the system that maybe have been modified to go online and do a virtual business. But I want to challenge you to really pay attention and take notes, because we've got the most successful people in the hierarchy. Actually, we've got some of the most successful. There's so many people that are winning right now in the virtual era. It's hard for us to get all of them on a call like this. I had a Friday morning conference call just with my hierarchy today, and literally, like, I had like 15 people speak, and there's 50 I could have chosen from that are killing it just since the quarantine started. So I'm going to get started talking about the system in general and why it's important to fundamentally to your success. I think most of you, if I'm going to be honest with you, I think most of you know about the system. I think most of you know what the system is. I think most of you have heard of the system. I think most of you at some level, like, think you're running the system, or think that you have a system, or think that you're following the system. And I'd like for you to consider, as I get started here, I'd like you to consider the fact that maybe you know less than you think you do about it. Alyssa, you've got my PowerPoint from Evelyn, if you can put that up. And most of us know more about the system from a head knowledge standpoint than we're actually practicing. Very few of us are really, truly practicing the system and running it like a system. And I'm saying that from experience, because I know how important it is, but I also know how difficult it is. So the problem with most failing businesses, and what I'm going to talk about today, your business as a real business, as a McDonald's franchise, as a standalone business, as a company, not just you, but I'm going to talk about your business as a business. Not just your team, not just your hierarchy. I'm going to talk about your I'm going to talk about your business as a business. Okay. So the problem with most failing businesses that I've encountered is that their owners don't know. It's not that their owners don't know enough about finance or marketing or management or operations. They don't, but those things are easy enough to learn. It's that they don't spend, it's that they spend their time and energy defending what they don't know. Let me say that again. The problem with most failing businesses is the people behind them. You and I spend too much time and energy defending what you think you already know. And that's what I'm talking about as it relates to the business. The greatest business people, the greatest leaders that I've met are determined to get it right, no matter what the cost. Yes, even if that costs them their pride and ego, even if that means them admitting and acknowledging, I'm not really sure about this, or how do I do this, or I'm having a breakdown here, or I thought I knew this. Let me ask for your feedback. How coachable am I? How well do I run my system? Next slide, please. Old saying, variety is the spice of life. The business owners and businesses that fail are easily distracted with anything and everything that's new and shiny. It's a new presentation that they saw at the company convention that somebody not even related to our hierarchy is talking about, or some new script they got from somebody else. It's a new anything. As long as it's new and it's not the same old boring thing that we've already done, as long as it's not the same old thing that we're already doing, then it's new and exciting. And all of a sudden they're teaching on it, they're training on it, they're trying to do this new thing. Because why? Variety is the spice of life. But as Rich Thawley taught me, monotony is the key to wealth. It's the great ones I have known seem to possess an intuitive understanding that the only way to reach something higher, to do something bigger, is to focus your attention on the details, on running the same specific play over and over and over with precision, executing at a high level. You know, the old saying about it takes 10,000 hours to master something. It's not about 10,000 hours of learning new things. It's about 10,000 hours of mastering one thing. That's really, you look at the martial arts, that's what the whole belt system is about. It's the same series of moves that we're mastering as we move up the scale, okay? So it's about running the system with such precision that there's never any doubt as to what to do next for you and the people in your business. Those mundane and tedious little things that, when done exactly right, with the right kind of intention and attention, form in the aggregate a distinctive essence, an effervescent quality that distinguishes every great business you've done business with from its mediocre counterpoints, whose owners are satisfied with simply getting through the day. When you walk into a great business, I'll tell you what, like when I signed a 5-year contract with Harrah's Resort and Spa down in San Diego, which most of you have been to, I really had no interest, and I was sort of talked into even looking at them because up until that point, all of our wealth goals had been done in the desert, in Palm Springs and Palm Desert. So I went down there. Here's the first thing that I noticed. I noticed that when somebody was cleaning out cigarette butts out of an ashtray, out of those little sand ashtrays, an employee, and they're 10 or 15 feet away from me, that employee was making eye contact with me, acknowledging me, and saying, "Good morning, how are you? How are you doing? Good afternoon." I began to notice what I would consider the lowest skill set, the lowest paid employees throughout the resort. They made eye contact. They acknowledged me. And here's what I thought to myself. They've got a system in place, and this place is being run by real leaders, people who are paying attention to the details. You're not naturally hiring people that are on top of it. This is a result of having a strong system in place and strong leadership in place. When you pay attention to the details, it's the whole reason I decided to do business with them. Here's what many of us are going to say today. You know what? But I'm already working so hard. I'm working as hard as I can. People who own small businesses in this country work far more than they should for the returns that they're getting, for the income that you're getting. Indeed, the problem is not that the owners of small businesses in this country don't work. The problem is that they're doing the wrong work. Next slide. And the rest of the bad news is this. If you own a small business, oh, we skipped a slide. Okay. I'll give you the stats of the slide that somehow got skipped. What are the odds that this is going to work? Businesses start and fail in the United States at an increasingly staggering rate. Every year, over 1 million people in this country start a business of some sort. Over 1 million people start a business. Statistics tell us by the end of the first year, at least 40% of them will be out of business. I want you to think about this. You're wondering why people quit your business? It's not you, it's not your business. 40% of people that start a business in this country quit before the end of the first year. Most of them are spending way more money and way more time and a way bigger commitment getting started. Within 5 years, more than 80% of those businesses that start this year will be out of business. Within 5 years, more than 80%. And the rest of the bad news is this: if you own a small business that has managed to survive for 5 years or more, don't breathe a sigh of relief. Why? Because more than 80% of the businesses that make it the first 5 years will fail in the next 5 years. Next slide. So what's missing? Why is this? Why do so many people go into business only to fail? Is it bad products? Is it a bad location, bad leadership, bad markets, bad office? What's the lesson that they're not learning? Why is it that with all the information available today from podcasts and Google and leadership, that so many small businesses fail and so few are successful? Why is that? It's you. Your business is nothing more than a distinct and direct reflection of who you are. It's the ultimate reflection of who you are. So let's talk about that for just a minute. If your thinking is sloppy, your business will be sloppy. Monty Holden taught me years ago that a disorganized desk workspace or desk leads to a disorganized mind. A disorganized car is a reflection of a disorganized mind, right? If you're disorganized, your business will be disorganized. If your thinking is sloppy, your business is going to be sloppy. If you're greedy and just trying to get rich quick, your agents are going to be greedy and they're going to give less of themselves and they're going to always be looking for more. Your clients are going to be looking for even more from you. Next slide. So it's up to us to change. If your business is going to change, it must continuously thrive. Then you have to change first. For our businesses today, change today in this virtual mode, we have to first change. And if you're unwilling to change, your business will never be capable of giving you what it is that you really want. Next slide. What is my business? The first change that needs to take place has to do with your idea of what a business really is and what it takes to make one work. Next slide. Given the failure rate of most small businesses in this country, we must realize a crucial fact about our businesses. Our businesses have to be systems dependent, not a people dependent business, not a personality dependent business. They have to be systems dependent. It's a business that could work with or without you. I'll give you an example. In 2013, I had triple bypass surgery. I didn't text anyone. I wasn't on conference calls. I wasn't on emails. I didn't go to the office. I didn't meet with anyone for 3 months. But my business continued to run without me even having the smallest of voices in it. Why? Because by that point in my career, it was completely run on a system. And I had leaders who were trained and developed who were capable of running that system. It didn't need me. There was a system being run and there was leaders running that system. Unlike most small business owners, you have to learn how to work on your business, not just in it. Next slide. It's critical that you understand the point I'm about to make. I want you to listen to me on this. For if you do, neither your business nor your life will ever be the same. I want you to listen to me on this. Here's the point. Your business is not your life. Some of your spouses need to hear me say that. Your business is not your life. Your business and your life are two totally separate things. They're two totally separate identities. At its best, your business is something a part of you rather than a part of you, with its own set of rules and its own purposes. It's an organism, you might say, that will live or die according to how well it performs its sole function. What's your business's sole function? To find and keep agents and clients. To find and keep agents and clients, which are one and the same, you're going to learn today. Once you recognize that the purpose of your life is not to serve your business, but that the primary purpose of your business is to serve your life, then you can get on to working on your business rather than just in it, with a complete and full understanding as to why it's absolutely necessary for you to do so. Next slide. I want you to pretend as you're listening to today's virtual business format system, as you're taking notes, as you're looking at this with a new set of eyes, I want you to pretend that the business you own today, whether that's a one-man show or it's a small boutique with 5 or 10 people in it, or you got 30 or 40 people, or you got 50 or 100, I want you to pretend that that business that you own today is the prototype right now. It's the prototype for 5,000 more just like it. That your business, the business that you're building right now, is going to serve as the model for 5,000 just like it. Eric Olson loves to say, it's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy the right cat. The business you're creating today and what you learn today about creating that business is going to be the model for 5,000 more just like it. Not almost like it, but just like it. Perfect replicates, exact clones of your business today. Next slide. In other words, pretend that you're going to own a franchise. Further, now that you know what the game is, the franchise game, understand that there are rules that you have to follow if you're going to win. Number one, you have to really learn our system. Not just learn it in a way that you can repeat the 6 steps and the 8 speed filters. I want you to really learn our system like you may never have done before. I want you to, number 2, follow that system. Follow the system of your SMD, follow the system of your EMD, follow the system of your CEO, follow the system of your EVC and SVC. Follow that system. You're not creating a new system, your new version of the system. You're following the system that's already been in place. Teach others the system by the manner in which you're running the system. In other words, rather than talking about the 8 speed filters, teach people the 8 speed filters based on the way you're running them through the 8 speed filters. Teach people how to field train by the way that you're field training. Teach people to lead by the way that you're leading. Then step 4 is monitor the system. You've got to be tracking the 8 speed filters. You got to be using BSC Pro to be tracking your guest counts and your captains list, your 8 speed filters, your production pipeline, your licensing pipeline. You've got to be monitoring that system like it's a business. I just got on April 20th, when the final numbers came out for March, I got an email from Christine Smith, an MD in Torrance. It copied her SMD, Sabrina Crump. It copied her EMD, Nikki Cannon, and it copied me, her CEO. And that email was a complete and comprehensive breakdown of the first quarter. What her specific goals were in terms of recruiting, production, cash flow, and other areas of her business, specifically what the numbers were, where she hit her numbers, where she was off, the adjustments she needed to make, who were the top people in her business in each one of those categories, what her 8 speed filters breakdown were, how many guests they had for the first quarter, how many follow-up interviews they had, how many recruits. It was a complete analysis of the whole first quarter. She's monitoring the system as she's been taught it by Nikki. Step 5, repeat steps 1 through 4 until the system runs your business and you're simply running the system. I want you to hear me on this. If you're presenting from a different flip chart than your SMD or your EMD or your CEO, you're not running the system. If you've got a different fast start, you added some things that they don't use and you don't use some of the things that they do. If you're using different scripts because you're excited about it, that's not the system. That's the antithesis of a system. That's in direct conflict with having a system. I want you to learn our system the way it was taught to Dan, the way it was taught to me, and the way it was taught to our most successful leaders. I want you to learn it that way because it works at the highest level that way, and we work at the highest level that way when we're all following the same system. You're going to learn about our system today, and I want you to take notes, and you're going to learn about how that system has been slightly adjusted for a virtual world. It hasn't been completely turned on its head. It's been slightly adjusted. I appreciate you guys giving me a few minutes to share with you. I love this business because I was obsessed with learning the system and running it from the day I started. By my 4th year here, less than 5% of my income came from me sitting down individually with clients. 95% of my income by the end of my 4th year here came to me because there was a system running my business, and that business was producing a lifestyle for me and an income for me that was the best I'd ever hoped for in my life. And it's only gotten better since then. Thank you all very much.
All right. Awesome job. Thank you so much, Christopher. We appreciate you. Great to see you. And I just love that quote that you shared with us. Monotony is the key to wealth. That was awesome. And that we are system dependent, not people dependent in our business. That was awesome. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you, Christopher. And to kick off our first step today, we have two women that are powerhouse together that are going to be sharing with you. The first one comes from out of Nate and Precious Ireton's team. She's been 4 years in WFG, and she's been with her husband for 13 years. She's extremely passionate, intense, and relentless in the business, and that is going to be with Kim Pineda. And with her, they're going to be doing the duo team. We have SMD, who's married to Michael Paul. We have Yvonne, and she's under the leadership of Christopher Slayman and Nikki Cannon. And with her wonderful family and her husband, they're six-figure earners as well. These power women will be speaking on step 1, prospecting. So it's all you, Kim. Take it away.
Thanks, Lauren, for that warm introduction. So for everybody who's on, in respect for time, please be ready to take some screenshots and photos because I will move pretty fast. And there's some pretty significant statistics that I'm going to share. In your notes right now, write down prospecting. What is prospecting? Macho, and marketing versus soliciting. So if you can go on to the next slide, Alyssa. So there's this huge misconception about social media. So I'm pretty much going to teach you guys how to prospect on social media and what prospecting is. Virtually, social media is the best place to prospect because there's a misconception about that social media is only for the young people. But the truth is, if you actually look at these statistics, and this is from 2019, before the coronavirus, which means now there's probably more. It doesn't matter what generation is on, at least 80% of the population is actually on social media. So why is prospecting so important? Well, prospecting is the #1 skill that you need for business, but without it, you won't have any business. And it's really misunderstood. If you ever talk to somebody and introducing them to the business, their probably like main concern is, I don't know if I could talk to people. I don't know how to talk to people. I don't even know where to start, or if that's something I'm interested in. But the reason why they are asking those questions is because they don't understand prospecting. So the next 5 slides is going to show the top 5 most common social media or apps used on a daily basis in no specific order. And I'm sharing these statistics because I want you to understand where your macho market actually is. With the macho market, this is where they're at. On Pinterest, 42% of women, 15% of men, and blah, blah, blah. But the whole point of Pinterest is to share your creativity and information. So this is the best place to set a fishing line as well, right? Next slide. On Facebook, this is probably one of the most diverse apps that you can go prospecting. This is another pool of water for you to go prospecting. What people share here and what they're attracted to is family, work, shopping, any reviews that you have, any opinions that you need to share. Next slide. Where also is in LinkedIn, this is where professionals are, recruiters. I want you to see where people are actually at, and remember to stay in the macho market, which is why I put how many statistics of women, how many statistics of men, 51% people over the college, like college degrees, right? Now, the next slide. As I'm going through and sharing all these different apps on the top 5 apps that people are using on a daily, understand that what you need to do is power of connection, right? So Instagram, this is where you share lifestyle, encourage, praise, and recognize some people. This is a platform for collaboration and community and friends. And on YouTube, which is the next slide, this is the Amazon of all content. The likelihood of you prospecting someone and then or let's say you're a new direct, ask someone and they do their research, their so-called research, they probably looked at something on YouTube. And if you look at it, it's because majority of people are actually on YouTube, right? So this is where reviews are found, info, opinions, and lifestyle. So instead of being against social media and what it could do, how about we take advantage of it and use it for our own system, right? And a lot of people don't get to prospecting, and the reason why they're so concerned whether or not they're going to talk to their friends or families is they don't know why they should be talking to their friends and families, most importantly to anybody. So I want to show you how great we have it in WFG and why we need WFG, because outside of WFG, this is the ladder. So go back to the relevance, Elsa. 22 million people are reported for unemployment, 25.9 billion wages lost, and they're projecting 60 billion wages lost, $60 billion in wages lost. 47% of baby boomers are unsure if their retirement will last. 137 Gen X and millennials, or 137 million Gen X and millennials are focused on safer retirement because the generation before us isn't doing so well, and Gen Z is looking for a modern way of working. What does that mean? Taxes are gonna go up, and the slide on the front actually shows you that. So prospecting daily, this is your pipeline, okay? The memory jogger isn't just for the newest person. The memory jogger is actually also for you. This is who you should be looking for. This is your scout roster. This is not step 2. And the reason why I have to stress that is because a lot of people are going virtually, now responding to people and saying, hey, are you open to an opportunity? Hey, are you looking to make part-time income, $2,000 to $8,000 part-time? None of that is actually attracting people. Your job is to connect, because on social media, it's actually already sharing all of their form, their star, what they do for a living. So all you gotta do is do your own homework. For example, the screenshot shows you that this person cares about her kids. She's married, she's a photographer. If someone tells you no on social media, go through their friends list and find someone they're actually already connected with. Like, for example, right here, Mrs. Fit for Biz. That's a person, the person to the left actually told me, no, thank you, it's not for me. So I was like, okay, well then she must know someone that it is for. And instead of waiting for her for the referral, I started connecting and making connections with the person that she's already connected with. It also tells you on the followers who they follow are usually the people that are influencing them, right? So do your homework. Remember, turn strangers into friends. Volunteer personal information first. This is in our BFS, page 112, paragraph 4. So do not be afraid to share content, and do not be afraid to be vulnerable, because we need to volunteer personal information first. So go ahead, next slide. So what to share, right? Because a lot of people are like, well, how do I do that? How do I start sharing? Never tell people your problems, because 20% of them don't care, and the other people, 80% are glad that you have them. Please share your wins and lessons. Volunteer personal information. Make sure you connect. Things that don't impress is your material things like your car, your house, who you know, how busy you are. What will impress them is your work ethic, character, and how much you care. This is where I'll go into the marketing versus soliciting. So that will be the next slide. Knowing the 10 points of human nature is so important, because you need to disconnect yourself from the emotional attachments when someone tells you no. Understand people are so skeptical. Understand people jump to conclusions. Understand that people don't want to be solicited too. So this kind of brings me on to the point of marketing versus soliciting, okay? Marketing is advertising, attraction, and seeking to inform. Soliciting is directly asking potential customers to purchase goods and services. This is your pitch. Now, I do both, but let me tell you the difference between the two, because our system works in the warm, okay? Which is why you need to learn how to start marketing yourself and attracting people, because you need to turn and use social media as a way for you to turn every cold person into a warm prospect, right? If you look to the left, there's a screenshot there. I just shared information that had nothing to do about finances or our business. And someone messaged me saying, thank you, and we will be contacting you soon about your opportunity, right? That changes the numbers from 100 to 1 to 10 to 1, right? And cold marketing prospecting, like soliciting, will actually just change your numbers from 100 to 1. This is like a pitch. This is like me saying, hey, let me know if you or anyone would be interested in everything that I just shared. What do you think about it, right? Some people would like that upfront forwardness, but I'll be honest with you, I've looked at my own numbers. It takes me from like 100 to 1 to actually function and turn them into a recruit. So I wanted to provide all that. And the reason why I said screenshot any of that stuff was because the statistics shows you where your macho market is, right? That's pretty much all I got to share with you guys. And the reason why I wanted to keep it at that is because I want to bring up Yvonne, and Yvonne is actually going to show you guys some steps and calls to action on how to apply everything that I just shared. So thank you.
Hello, you guys. All right, awesome. Didn't Kim do an amazing job? Kim, you totally like nailed it to why we need to go out there and start to prospect, right? So if we bring up my slide, great. I want to go ahead and share with you guys our next steps to action. So on our first slide, we really begin to talking about what is really prospecting. As Kim said, yes, it's just simply having a chance to say warm hellos and getting reacquainted with people. So prospecting, of course, you can do it in 3 ways: warm market, friendship farming, as well as friendship farming. But what does that look like in today's times in COVID-19 days? I'm going to share with you how we can apply it. As you have a chance, actually, right, as we have a chance to do that, just remember 3 keys is set up a time first to make sure you're prospecting, whether it be social media or just simply saying hello to individuals. And the second one, make sure that you don't take it personal. If they say no, it's okay. It's not even no to you. It was no to themselves. So what? Who's next? Go on, right? And then one of the things that we want to go ahead and do is do a grand opening. So the slide that I was just above that was have actually showing you this is what we're doing. We're doing a grand opening for each and every of our associates. So from the newest person coming in to even our associates who's been with us for a very long time. So your MD, SMD, doesn't matter. You want to have a grand opening and really get out there to talk to your friends and family because they're at home. They are willing to help you. All they have to do is just simply click on a Zoom call and you have a grand opening in front of them. But it is up to us as leaders to really paint the picture of this grand opening. So this grand opening is about sharing a vision, right? So can you create a vision with your associates, letting them know that this is going to be just like how we have all of our other BPMs, except the main speakers, it's going to be you, right? As well as your SMD. So it's a special time for you to get in front of your friends, family, acquaintance, whoever it is that you know, and share your vision. You need to speak from your heart because they know you're in WFG, but do they really know why you're in WFG? It is the why people are moved to helping you out, to come into business with you. So this is the best time to do that. So how we create that vision is by sharing the message with our newest associate and our oldest associates, letting them know that we're going live on our grand opening, but also setting up expectations. Expectations is important, you guys, because if without expectations, you're not going to really know what you're going to come from that. So one of the expectations is important is guest count. What is your vision to have on this event? Are we going to have 20, 30, 40, 50, right? And then no new numbers. 10 invitations, right, equals 5 confirm, 3 show up, 1 moves forward. Now, of course, numbers might have tweaked a little bit because more people are available now to show up, but nonetheless, the numbers are the numbers. So if you run higher numbers and you have great credibility, you're going to have more people here. So make sure that you do that. So let's get organized for this event. So how do we get organized? Again, challenge, right? One of the things that I like to do, and obviously all of our leaders do really great jobs at it, is stir up the pot. So kind of go out there and speak to all your MD teams and let them know that, hey, we're calling out a grand opening challenge, who's doing theirs, and post up the flyers, right? Create flyers for each and every one of them so that they feel special. They feel like this is their event and they're going to be speaking at their event, right? Whether it be sharing your vision or doing a part of the presentation. So I'm really happy that a lot of our associates have stepped up to speaking roles, like being the first speaker and even going into being the second speaker. So it's pretty awesome that they're taking on those challenges. So promote that within your MD teams so that they are feeling motivated to do theirs. The second thing is set up on BSC Pro their events. So you can be able to keep count of all the BPM guests that are showing up. You have email addresses, you have phone numbers, people can get confirmed properly. Also, you want to create that flyer, a Zoom link, and a text message script. Most people don't know what to say or how to invite. So if you control that point of contact as a leader, then things actually go a lot smoother. So definitely do those key points there. And then what is their guest count commitment? So there's something different between you telling them you're going to have 50 people there or strive for 50 people there versus them telling you what they're committed to. Keep them to that, have daily conversations or at least, every other day conversations to make sure that you're helping them stay on track on that. Also, email them the presentation. If they're going to be speaking, doing the first row or so on, they need to have the presentation ahead of time so they're prepared. Maybe role play with them or just have them connect to our BPMs and say, hey, you have a live person doing it, take notes on what they're saying it, and I know you're going to do an awesome job because we're going to work together as well. And then make sure all uplines are communicating till everybody's on the same page. They know what they're going to be doing. Set up a confirmation and closing expectations as well. So do pregame, right? So our next slide really kind of goes over some of the things that you can be doing to help you when it's actual time to go live. So start to close from the very beginning. Of course, you were able to confirm those guests, so the closing already started there, because you're telling your guests that you're welcoming them to a Zoom presentation as a grand opening for so-and-so, that they're excited to see them there, that they're going to be communicating with them after the Zoom is over. So the expectation of them communicating is already there. What we like to do is not only let them know that there's a call that is going to be made to them, but also a link that is going to be sent. So this link is called, we call it our corporate view overcard, which is like the ones that we used to have, those white cards. The only thing is now virtually, right? So you can do this, you can create it through Google Forms. So have a chance to kind of maybe Google how to do a Google form, or you watch it on YouTube. It's pretty easy to do, but it will allow you to create a question survey where you can design it the way you want to, whether it be fill in the answer or multiple choice. You could require certain things there, and they can press submit. The cool thing about that is when they press submit, it goes directly to an Excel sheet that you have access to, and you can share amongst your MDs. So everybody knows where everything is at, and that's pretty awesome to know and have that kind of ability to see what is going on in your business instantaneously. So on top of that, what other things that we actually do is delegate roles for pregame. So you don't have to be the one that's confirming, the one that's sending a three-way text message between the so the invitee, the guest and the invitee. You don't have to be the one that does all of those things. You have a team, so let your team step up, let your team feel that they are needed, and they love to feel appreciated that way, so give them an opportunity. The next thing that we talk about is follow up tight. So the follow-up tight means that you need to make sure that you know what happened to all of these guests, the ones that came on, the ones that picked up the call, and the ones that didn't even show up. So we like to use VSC Pro as an area to be able to kind of keep that at a glance. So as you saw, Sandra has been using that example. She's one of our associates. She's pretty amazing, and she created this, we did this, her grand opening, and she had over 20 invitations, and you see the stats here, right? So we had an opportunity to really capture a lot of that audience there, and results have came from that. She's had already 2 directs, and this all happened just on Sunday, right? So there's going to be an explosion to her business, but it's because of a tight system. So communicate via 3 ways with your guests: a call, a text message, and campaign manager. So this is something that our assistant is working on with us right now. We're sending a campaign manager to all of our guests for having a chance to join us on Zoom, along with and sending them the BPM kit electronically. So it's just another way to stay in contact with them, and make sure that you follow up with the guests that are not even able to show up, because that's potential new business, that's potential guests that you can have at another BPM, or you can do a one-on-one. So don't let go of that momentum to invite. Our next slide really kind of just goes over another another feature that we like to use here in our office, which is not only just to do a grand opening for your associates and your newest associates, but what if you can communicate with all those prospects, all those people, all that warm market that you have, all that, maybe that persons that you met just once and you thought that would be a great fit for the company, but you just never heard back from them. So what I started doing is sending a video chat. So I basically record myself and I send it to them. And these are kind of just like pictures here of text messages where I've submitted a video to them saying, hey, this is Yvonne. We had a chance to meet. And I go on with a quick message about how we met and how I liked them. And I'll give them an opportunity to see back our company's opportunity, and how the best time to connect is now. So we've had a chance, I'm sorry, you guys. So we've had a chance to kind of go over that, and it's gone amazing because people are quickly responding. Actually, one of the pictures there you see is of a text message. I sent her the video, and she immediately responded back, and we got her to dance first webinar. She came on board literally the next day. So she's she's just rocking in business, right? The other person was someone who had not returned none of my phone calls, but I sent him that video, and I got him to respond back and start communicating. So yes, it wasn't a fit for him still, but nonetheless, it opened up the line for communications and referrals. So find ways to innovate yourself and be creative. So with that said, you guys definitely follow Kim and myself if you're wanting to get more tips on how to be innovative and being able to connect with people during these times. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kim and Yvonne. We appreciate you guys so much. That was such a great, a lot of information. Man, talking about the marketing versus soliciting. I love that. How to virtually prospect. And you guys got it down with your grand opening via Zoom and all of the stuff. You are definitely running it tight. I got so much out of that. And I just love that last part with your video message too. That's a nice touch, and so I definitely am going to start doing that. I think that's awesome. They can see you live. So I appreciate you, and I know the entire team does. That was awesome. So next we got our next topic, which is going to be step 2 in approach and contact. And this is by the Miracle Mile team, the women leadership there. I'm super excited. The first person is going to be she's out of Betshava and Joseph Judah's team, and she's driven to inspire others, building an awesome business to change the legacy of her 2 amazing boys, and that's SMD Leah Vitale. Super excited to hear from you. And then after her, we have finishing up their teaming it up today is going to be one of the most energizing ladies I know. She's got an awesome mindset. She's a super hard worker, and she's in love with what we do. She's been with us for about 7 years, out of the Miracle Mile office too, and that is Pavi Branson. So take it away, Leah.
Hey, you guys. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much, Lauren, and amazing job to everyone who's spoken so far. It's a tough act to follow. We have so many powerhouses here, and I'm just so grateful. I feel so honored and privileged to have been invited to present today alongside my sister in business, Pavi. So we're going to go through step 2. So step 2 is the approach and contact. So for those of you who don't know what that means, that's basically after what Yvonne and Kim went through. After you have a prospect, your approach and contact is you actually reaching out to that prospect, right? And a lot of times in business, what we tend to do is we get the phone number and then we're trying to do it all at once, right? Whereas, and online, there's a little bit more of that, a little bit more of that is meshing online, right? Because it's not like a meeting one time and then leaving, but we still kind of want to have that as 2 separate steps. So we're going to break down several key points. So one is avoiding the scenario of disaster, 10 points of human nature, contacting your warm market, the scripts that we have to use, how to run the captain system, and then of course, selling the dream. So if we could go on to the next slide. Okay, so some key points, right? So the purpose when you're approaching and you're contacting your prospect is to confirm either a virtual one-on-one, so you're doing a one-on-one meeting with your trainer, or you're inviting them to our business presentation meeting, right? So there's some really important points to consider when we're doing this online as opposed to doing this in the office. So first of all, guests need even more confirmations and follow-up than they normally would to ensure they make it to the meeting and the follow-up appointment, even more so than running to the office. Now, we might think, it seems counterintuitive. We might think, hey, they're just at home, they're sitting on their couch, they're not doing anything, they'll be on, right? But what I've noticed from tracking and coming on BPMs and seeing who's on and who's not is that people need way more reminders. They need way more follow-up and confirmations because everyone's sort of in this slump state. Everyone's home and they're in that, Netflix and chill mentality. So you have to be on it more now than ever and make sure that they get on the call. The second thing is that the follow-up windows need to be smaller, right? So instead of normally in the office, we might have them do a follow-up interview within 2 days. Now that's too long, right? We have to collapse our timeframes and compress activity even more because it's fresh on their mind right now. So we have to strike while the iron is hot. So, and especially with the call that our leader made of doing this power sweep where we're having presentations every other day, we have to run that successfully, we have to interview them the very next day. Also, this is sort of, sorry, last point on that slide before you go back, thanks. Last key point, and this is to reiterate also what I believe that Yvonne just said, is that when you book when you confirm them for the presentation, you want to actually book their interview at the same time. This is such a key point, I can't stress enough. It will avoid you chasing people and having to like let them fall through the cracks. It's a very assumptive, just, hey, I'm gonna invite you to this corporate overview. I want you to see generally who we are at what we do, and I'm going to schedule an interview for you for the next day at X time or at what's better for you, morning or evening. I highly recommend you do that in advance. Okay, so mastering the invitation. This is where you want to keep your invitations brief. You want to avoid the scenario of disaster, which is essentially where they start asking you a million questions, right? So especially for when you're new, right? You want to just be enthusiastic, talk about why you're so excited, you know, not bring them to the meeting, bring them virtually to the meeting, right? Invite both spouses. So the same rules apply when we're inviting to the office. You want both spouses there, and get really, really good at doing this, whether you're using social media, whether you're making phone calls, getting both spouses to the meeting. Okay, we can do the next slide. Awesome. Okay, 10 points of human nature, you guys. This is so much more prevalent now than ever because of what I just said. Is everyone's in that sort of slump mentality right now. So we have Homer Simpson there to kind of be our little image for where are people at right now? People are home, they're on the couch, they're drinking beer, they're watching TV all day in their pajamas. So you have to counter that energy with your enthusiasm, right? And remember that human nature is something that we're going to have to navigate. So one, people are quick to jump to conclusions. They're skeptical. They procrastinate. They want to push stuff off. And more so now than ever, they set big goals. They're curious. They don't think they can sell. They don't like insurance salespeople. They would like to be their own boss. They'd like to have a business of their own, but they don't think they can do it. So we have to already be prepared that we're going to encounter all of this resistance and these obstacles beforehand. And actually, Pavi's going to go through that in a minute of how to overcome those common objections. Okay, next slide. Okay, so with the invitation, what you want to do is just market the opportunity, sell the dream, talk about why you're excited. What's your why? Why are you here in this business? What are you excited about, right? Get their attention, find out what's important to them and how open are they, right? Like Kim said in her message, are you keeping your options open? Explain extremely briefly who we are and we're about. Don't get into too much back and forth questions. Invite them, confirm them, set their interview, and overcome those objections the way Pavi shows. It should be a quick in and out. You could do it in a DM, you can do it on a phone call or in a text. Okay, so we have a don't be this creepy lady, okay? You want to confirm them, but don't be creepy, right? So it's a balance. So our 5-step virtual confirmation, what you want to say is, I talked to my manager. They're so excited you're going to be on the call. We have a space reserved for you in our Zoom call. We'll conduct your follow-up interview the following day. What's better for you, morning or afternoon? And you're not the type of person who says you're going to show up and do something and not do it, right? And there's a way to ask that question without being creepy. It's just playful. Ask the question and be playful. And then if they say, no, I'm not that type of person, they're going to feel really weird flaking on you, right? So that's a really important question to ask. Okay, keep going. Next slide. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go through very fast key scripts because I don't want to overgo my time, right? So we have these key scripts: help me script, 3 good quality script, reference script, and 3-way text. So we can go to the first. The help me script, just very quickly, is pretty much for the new associate. So if you're brand new in the business, you want to invite someone to the presentation, you want to cover 5 key points. You want to talk about the fact that you're excited, you're in training, you need their help, you value their opinion, and they're hoping they'll send you some referrals down the road. So I encourage you to take a screenshot because I don't have time to go too in depth. So take a screenshot of the script, practice it. This is going to be your approach rather than trying to get people to hear about the opportunity. Just ask them to help you and show up on the call. Okay, next, 3 good quality script, right? So I use this one probably more than any other one. You can use this for someone who's referred to you off of one of your agent's top 25s or someone that you recently prospected, right? So the main key point here is you're complimenting them. You're pointing out 3 good qualities that they have, and that those are the 3 qualities why someone referred them to you, or the 3 qualities you noticed when you prospected them for why you thought they'd be great for this business. And again, I'm having a general overview this Tuesday night, going through who we are and what we do. I'd like you to tune in on Zoom and then meet together the following day for a one-on-one personal interview. So get used to putting those 2 things together, right? Character reference script, this is for the trainers to set kitchen table presentations, right? So field training appointments. Basically here, you're making a reference call. So if you're new in the business and you have somebody making calls for you and you're a little uneasy about what are they going to say to the people that I know, read this script. It's very professional. It's very sophisticated. It's nuanced. We don't sound like one of those things. It sounds like a professional reference call. And at the end of this call, your trainer is going to be booking an appointment for your training. So this is a really, really great and nuanced way that we can invite and book appointments. And finally, we have the 3-way text. Okay, this one is amazing. I hope you guys screenshot this text. This is an awesome way that you can automatically link your trainer up, leverage their expertise with your prospect. So you kind of just make the quick intro and then let them take it from there, right? So you're basically edifying your trainer. You're saying how awesome they are, how they've helped you either on a client side or how they're mentoring you in business. And you want the 2 of them to meet and hope that they have some kind of collaboration together. And then your trainer has all the expertise and the experience to take the conversation where it needs to go. 3-way texting is a huge tool that Ed Milet shared with us at Wealth Bowl. It's totally transformed my business, and it absolutely works. So don't disregard the 3-way text. And finally, last thing, right, is you can't outsmart the numbers, right? So if you want to make sure the numbers are the same, whether you're online or you're not, or you're in the office, you have to make sure that you're confirming at least 10 people in order to have 3 guests attend, and then 1 will join. I've seen a lot of people's numbers seem like they're actually even better than that, but we can't get lazy. We can't get casual. We have to make sure that we're running the system. In order to be a captain, you have to have 10 confirmed for every presentation. Don't lie to yourself and think, oh, I have 1 or 2 people and those are going to convert, because we have to be consistent with our numbers. So that's pretty much it for me, you guys. Thank you so much. And I'll pass it over to my sister in business, Kavi.
All right, thank you, Leah. Hello, everyone. I'm incredibly grateful to be asked to be on this call today and to follow this up with Leah. We call each other sisters in business. Our offices are completely, we share a wall, and we joked when we moved into that office that we have bunk beds. Those are our bunk beds. So a lot of powerful women on this call so far, and I'm excited to see everything that we have coming through. We've spent a lot of time in our preparation today for you guys. So what we're going to go through today on my end is more so the objections that can come up generally in business, but also specifically during this time with doing things online, Zoom, the virtual world, essentially. So first I want to talk about what an objection is. My background is in psychology. I was a therapist, worked for over a decade in the field of psychology. I had never even heard of an objection in business, didn't know what it was. So essentially an objection is an expression or feeling of disapproval or opposition. It's a reason for someone to disagree. Sometimes I think that people get a little bit afraid and they back off when someone's asking questions, or they have a little bit of an objection, but it's actually a good thing. It shows that someone has interest, that they're actually thinking about what you're talking about, and they have some sort of thought process with it, and then you're going to help them think it through. So we can address objections in 3 different places. We can address an objection before it comes up, which I love to do, where now you're thinking about how a person is thinking and what they're going to be thinking about. So you can bring it up before they've even thought it in their mind, or you know that they're thinking it and they just haven't brought it up to you. That's my favorite way to tackle objection. Second would be during. So when that person has an objection, you can handle it then, or after the objection comes up and you can say, we can address that at a later time. So what I'm going to discuss here is controlling the conversation. It's funny, I find myself controlling the conversation every single position that I'm in, no matter if I'm having a conversation with a friend in business. Sometimes my friends will make fun of me and they're like, stop answering my question with another question, right? But essentially you control the conversation by answering someone's question with another question, following it up that way. So I talk here a little bit about certainty. So what does certainty mean and why is it important in business? So certainty essentially is a firm conviction that something is the case, that you know without a doubt that you're certain about this situation. So it's the quality of being reliably true. So in every single conversation, someone is assessing someone, right? So it's not necessarily what you say, but how you say it. Right, so when you've done appointments with your upline, maybe it's Natalie Plant, maybe it's Jeff Brookshire, maybe it's Dan Charlier, right? Paul Ireton. We sometimes will ask them to do the appointment for us when we know the words. It's not that they're saying anything different on the appointment. It's just their conviction and their certainty and their energy behind the words, right? So you want to make sure, stay there with me for a second, Alyssa. So you want to make sure that you have that certainty in the conversation and that you are the individual closing that individual. So they don't necessarily need to believe what you're saying. They just need to believe that you believe what it is that you're saying. So maybe if you don't have that certainty yet, you can use that three-way text that Leah was talking about to be able to leverage your leadership to have that certainty and help you get the results until you're able to build that certainty. Next one. Thank you, Alyssa. So I'm going to review here some common objections that come up in business overall, but more specifically here during this time with doing business via Zoom and virtually essentially. So one common objection that's been coming up for people is I'm not working, so I want to submit my background agreement and start licensing at a later time. Okay. I know many of us have gotten that sort of an objection where maybe they're not working, they don't have income coming in. So my question to that essentially would be, well, coming out of this quarantine, coming out of the coronavirus, do you want to continue to be in the same position that you're in? Do you want to be in an even worse position because you don't have income coming in? Or do you want to position yourself to be in an even better position coming out of this quarantine, right? So now they can utilize this time where they're at home. It's never been better to come into business at this time because now we have trainings every single day on Zoom, easily accessible from your home. Business has never been better, right? So be able to address that with them during this time. Second would be that some people are saying, well, I want to figure out this situation with the coronavirus before I make any decisions with my policy. So essentially, they don't want to move forward with their policy or put money up towards the policy because maybe they're in limbo about their income and what's going on. So here we can talk about a couple things here, right? One being in a better financial position, which we discussed previously with the last objection, but also we can submit policies without money. So it's not going to be an immediate, application where they're going to get approved. They also need to know that this is an application process. We don't know whether or not they're going to be approved. We have people that we think without a doubt would be approved, and then within a couple days we find out that they were declined for their policy. So remember, this is an application process. We can submit it. It's going to take at minimum 4 weeks to get a person approved, if not 2-3 months to get them approved. So we can say, hey, you know what? Let's get this application process started. We don't have to submit it with any money right now. Let's just determine whether or not we can get you approved. And then once you're approved, we can make the decision going forward for you there and apply money. Third, is this another one of those MLM pyramid schemes everyone's been reaching out to me about? So I think because people are home, like someone called me the other day and had a 40-minute conversation with me. And at first she was just like telling me about her life. And I was like, what does she want? What does she want from me? Right. And of course, the last 5 minutes was she was trying to sell me on something. Right. So I think everybody's home. People are like, oh, dual work from home type of a business. So you need to understand what an MLM is, what a multi-level marketing company is, what a pyramid scheme is first. So seek first to understand before trying to be understood. So you have to understand what those things are before you can help someone understand how we are not one of those things. But a couple different things that you want to help someone understand here is in multi-level marketing companies, many of them you get paid to recruit. We do not get paid to recruit in our company. We're a $500 billion company. We're not going to go pay you to find other people. It's not hard to do that, right? And tell them how incredible our company is. You get paid to recruit someone, train them, develop them, get them licensed, get them making money, and then you make money. So it's a completely different process. You also don't have to go spend your own money to go buy a whole bunch of makeup or health drinks or whatever the case is to then be able to go back and try to make your money back and make a little bit of a profit. Now, pyramid schemes, that's essentially where someone's saying, hey, give me money and I promise you you're going to make more money later on. This is a big thing going on Instagram right now, which doesn't mean that it's not necessarily true that you won't get the money back. So there's a thing, I don't know if some of you guys have seen it, where they say, hey, give me $100 and you're going to make $800 later on. It's like this whole diamond, I don't know, thing that's going on. So some people are making that money. So a pyramid scheme doesn't necessarily mean that it's fake, that you're not going to get the money back. Some people do, but there's no exchange of product. There's no exchange of service. It's just, hey, go find more people to bring in money and then you're going to make money. So obviously with what we do, we're educating people on financial services. We're helping them with their debt, with saving money, with making money. There is an exchange of product and service, and we're connecting them with the largest companies on Wall Street. So obviously we're not that as well, but you guys need to make sure that you understand what those two things are, so that then you can help them understand how we are different from those two different pieces there. And then lastly, are people wanting to even do anything with their money during this time? So people are asking, well, do people even want to save money right now? They don't have money coming in, right? So just because someone doesn't have a job doesn't mean that everyone out there doesn't have a job, right? So there are plenty of people that are out there that are essential workers that still have their business open, they're still making money. So a lot of people make the mistake of placing their situation on everyone else. So there are plenty of people, we're killing it in business right now. Some of us are even busier. We thought we were like crazy busy before. We're even busier now because we can just have back-to-back appointments. So it's helping someone understand that there's no better time, because people right now are actually seeing the value of saving money. We've been talking about having an emergency fund. Do actually people put it in place, right? So people see the value of saving money and having an emergency fund in place, but then also on the protection side of life insurance. We don't even know, like, what life insurance companies are saying maybe will even change things after COVID, right? So let's get your application in now so that we can make sure that we can get you approved before things potentially change. So everybody, like, life insurance has spiked over 40% with people trying to get approved for it. And then lastly, with protecting people's money, right? So people have lost billions of dollars in the market since everything has changed, over these past couple months with the coronavirus. So obviously we're here to help people protect their money so that they don't lose money. I had one of my clients message me again yesterday and she's like, hey, Pavlina, is my money safe? And I said, yep, we had this conversation a month and a half ago. Your money is safe, nothing to worry. You haven't lost a penny. It is completely safe, and we're able to protect people's life savings, their hard-earned money, and there's no better feeling than be able to do that for someone. So you want to make sure that people are understanding essentially how we're able to help them during this time. So I hope that was helpful for you guys with some of the objections that are coming up. You're able to contact me, Facebook, Instagram, if you have any other questions and need any help with that. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Alyssa, for all your time and your help here as well.
Awesome. Hi, guys. Thank you so much, Leah and Pavi. Man, not only you guys at my pace when you talk, I love it, but your energy is contagious. So I'm like fired up in here. I wish I could see you guys and give you a big hug. That was awesome. I'd love the 5-step virtual confirmation. I think that's huge right now, and I think everybody really got a ton of value out of that. Also running that captain system to get to our 3 that make it actually show. And I love the objections that you have for during the COVID crisis that we're all in. Those were awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. You're wonderful and you're amazing sisters in business. So the next person that's going to be speaking with you is actually myself. So I'm come from the Irvine office and out of the Hague family, and I'm just really excited to be sharing with you my presentation today. I've been working with these ladies nonstop, and I'm excited to go over it. It's going to be step 3, the BPM. So on the next slide, it will go over our main purpose of the BPM presentation meeting is to show and sell the opportunity to new prospects, and also to resell the opportunity to our existing teammates and teach existing team how to sell the opportunity where they can learn from the leadership. And you can see our next BPM this Saturday is with Jeff Brookshire and Dan Charlier, and there's going to be the registration link, and we have new ones coming out for all of them. And then we have Miriam coming up on the next one, I believe, on Tuesday, and then we'll have a whole bunch coming out. So this is going to be our platform and what it looks like for our virtual BPMs. On the next slide, you're going to see, there we go, awesome. Mobilization to each BPM. What are you doing to promote to each BPM? Are you calling your teammates new and old? Are you sending text messages? Are you doing your group me messages on all different ones? Make sure that you're tracking your teammates, who's really showing up to the meetings, who's actually responding to you, who has guests. I want you to challenge all of your new and old teammates to get on the BPMs. You know, I see a lot of times, you know, we should be having 600 to 800 people on every single BPM at least. And there's this couple of them where we have 200-300. I was talking with Dan and he said, we got to get that, you know, we got to really make sure that mobilization is key. So I want to challenge you guys. How many of you are going to have the most teammates on Saturday's BPM tomorrow morning? How many of you have already registered for that? We can see the list of registration. So I want to make sure that you get all your teammates on there, new and old. On the next slide, you're going to see the play that we're running. So many of you have heard this. I'm going to go over, but this is all our focus should be for each BPM and during the week. So the play that we're running as a synergy team, it's the power sweep for Tuesday, for Thursday, and for Saturday BPMs. The focus is 3 guests only, and that's your only focus right now, and obviously getting everybody onto the BPMs. Field trainers are available. We're all here to help you get to your 3. Make it your best 3 and do it each BPM. And so in order to do that, we focus on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to prep us for those BPMs. You got that? So we're going to invite on Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the following day for each BPM. You're going to confirm them, whether it's on a 3-way text like Iman was talking about, or you're going to do live confirmations. You want to make sure that their 5-step virtual confirmation is done as well. Make sure that they're pre-scheduled for their follow-up interview. And I want you to, after you complete that follow-up interview, you're going to hire them and you're going to actually challenge that brand new person to get their 3 people on the next BPM the next day. That is all we're focused on. So our power sweep is the 3 guests only. Key points to remember, and I know this is something important on the virtual level for the BPMs. BPMs, we got the times right there. I want you guys to be early. You should not be jumping on the meeting at 7:05. You should be on at 6:50 or 6:45 in the waiting room when the music's playing. You should be dressed professional, not in your t-shirt, or, you know, let your guests know as well. This is a professional meeting. Be dressed professional. Have your camera on so people can see you. And I encourage you to stay in the BPM. Here's why. If you're on an iPhone, you can see when somebody leaves the meeting. Do not leave the meeting because we can all see when you jump off. And your guests can see that too. So I encourage you to stay on the meeting. Now, if you have an emergency with your kids, take your camera off, leave yourself in the meeting and do what you got to do. We're all in this together. But I encourage you to be early, be professional, and keep your camera on. Track your guests and associates. You should be texting with your leadership team and making sure they know how many guests are on. All the SMDs should know how many guests are on. You should let your SMDs know and how many guests showed up. You can actually look at the participants. You can even do it now and track who on your team is on this meeting right now, right? Focus on the play we're running. That's what I want all your focus to be on. The list of all guests will be sent out after each BPM to the SMDs that are running behind the scenes. A lot of people are asking, how do we know if they actually showed up? If you weren't, you know, if you didn't stay on there, did they fill out a poll, that kind of a thing, the online review card, all that gets sent out to the SMDs after each meeting. Have a meeting after the meeting. So we switched our weekly meetings. You know, we had multiple times a week we were meeting. We switched our Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays to immediately following the BPM. At 7:45, we meet with our team and our entire team is on a new Zoom meeting. And we actually call the guests that showed up. We talk about who didn't have show. We follow up on the ones that didn't show. And we work as a team together immediately following the BPM. Lastly, send an email confirmation to your guests. I recommend after they go to the BPM, I think it was Yvonne that might have mentioned it. We've been doing it for some time. We learned it from the Miracle Mile office. Thank you, Leah. And it was sending an email confirmation through Campaign Manager with a couple of the small brochures attached that said, it was great to meet you on the Zoom. We look forward to your follow-up interview on such and such time and date. Here's the Zoom ID. So I recommend that you send out an email confirmation after you've spoken to them. Here's my Facebook and Instagram. And so that's the one PowerPoint I wanted to share on the presentation and the BPM. The next person that I'm going to be bringing up to you guys, I'm super excited for this lady. She's a $250,000 earner, and she's in business with her brother, which I love because I'm in business with my brother. And she's also has a wonderful husband, Quentin, and they're all working together in this business. She's going to be covering step 3, the closing process, not only for KTP1, KTP2, but how to get delivery and referrals done virtually. So give it up for my friend Rachel Onstadt.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Okay. I want to share a couple things with you guys that I think are super important. We are a very relational business. We do business by creating relationships, and so with this whole virtual thing now, it's quite different. I've been with the company for 16 years, just over 16 years, and I have come from old school way, if you will, paper applications, face-to-face, kneecap to kneecap, across the kitchen table. And so I've had to accept and adopt new ideas and strategies to really learn how to create a very powerful way of taking families through each step or each process of all the meetings that we do. But I've had to learn how to create a relationship with them via Zoom. And for me, it's quite different because your presence is more powerful than I think that you give yourself credit for. And so your presence in a room, your personality, when you shake hands and you're eye to eye and you really get to know each other, it's a completely different dynamic. So this is a whole new experience. And I've tried to shift gears and shift gears quickly and effectively. And so I want to share a couple of things I think that would be very helpful for all of you to consider or maybe try or add to what you're doing. And so I think that number one, when we sit down with a family on the first appointment, second appointment, and third, our job is really to teach and educate, but then to help them and serve them. And I think that the key points is to also educate, teach, intrigue, disturb, compel. All of those things, all of those emotions are very relevant to what we do, because those emotions are relevant to the people we sit down with, and they're very emotional. I think human nature is very emotional when it comes to their money, their savings, the market, media, news, war, right? I mean, we're just emotional creatures, I think, naturally. And so we have to speak to that in a way, in a very effective way, when we're meeting with families via Zoom. And so I added a couple things, just trying a couple of different things to help me remain effective and then also to be able to help families understand why we can still help them even though we're not sitting in the same room. That right there, I think, is the most important message to deliver. We can still help you regardless of whether we're meeting via Zoom or versus, just like we could if we were in the office. And so here are some of the things that I've added, and I haven't really shared these things other than with Mark and Quentin, because I wanted to try them out to see how effective it was. But when we sit down with a family and we are doing a data collection, we're finding out all the facts, we're doing our discovery, we're asking them what their goals are, what their dreams are, what they like about what's currently happening for them financially, and then we start to gather their assets. And their assets, I think, are really, I think, where we camp or spend some time. And I collect their 401k, IRA, all of their assets that they currently have. And then my question is really, as it shows on this picture here, how do you protect yourself from this bear, right? And it's a picture to give them a visual and color. Visuals and color speak to the right side of the brain, very emotional. It enrolls people. Okay, so you can go to the next slide. And then in the first question, before you bring up the other two questions, the first question is at the top, what percentage, and this is literally what I ask them. Right now, I ask them, what percentage of your retirement assets, right? Because I've collected all of their assets. We've just talked about all of their assets. They've talked about the things that have happened, the money that they've lost, what they would like to see, what they'd like to earn, what they'd like to mitigate, taxes, all of these things. And so their emotions are open and raw right now after that discussion. So these 3 questions have come into play, and they've worked very well for me. And the first one is, as you can see here, what percentage of your retirement assets are insured and protected against market loss? And I stopped talking and I asked them to tell me the story. How, and here's where what you do, you learn, it's a discovery process. They either don't know, or they know that they've lost money, but not how much. Sometimes they'll tell me, well, what are you talking about? I've never been able to protect myself against loss in the market. Right. So the second question is, how much of your retirement can you afford to lose? Well, you'll find that they don't know the answer to that either. And then the third question that I ask is, what percentage of your retirement assets do you want to protect from market loss starting today? What percentage would you like to protect? What do you think most people say? Most people will say, I want to protect 100%. I want to protect everything that I can. How do I do this? How do we get started? What ideas are there? I didn't realize I could do these things. So now they're starting to have a realization, and then of course we lend that hope that there's possibilities here, and that we're the company that is able to help them, start to move their assets in a better direction. You can go to the next slide. So then after I ask them the 3 questions, I bring up this slide right here. This is a graph, obviously a graph of how our money is affected overall by the stock market. And you can see the line at 0, all the way to the left, 0, that orange line. And you can see the pink and the blue line. The blue line is the market. The pink line is your money, Bob and Mary. So tell me, just point out on the graph how your money was affected this last month due to market correction, market loss. How much have you lost? Can you point that out on the graph for me? Are you below 0? Are you -10, -20, -30? Or are you above the line? Are you at 0? Where would you like to be? This right here literally it disturbs them so much, because most of the time they're stating the fact that, well, actually we're the blue line right below the orange line. We've lost money. We're not earning. We've lost. We don't know what we're going to do. And so I'll ask them, well, how do you think it'd make you feel if we could actually teach you how to capture your growth in the market, lock it in, keep it, and never suffer another loss like you have over the last 10, 15 years, 2001, 01, 02, 2008, 9, 2010, 14, all of the losses. What if you could have avoided that? Not only that, but what if you could have avoided the losses and then avoided or eliminated your taxes in those areas as well? Where do you think you would be today? And where are you today on this graph? So it really, really brings quite a bit of emotion to our conversation. So then I also want to make sure that I'm still enrolling them, and I create the relationship with them participating. And typically we write out the 3 tax boxes in front of them at the table, right? And we always have them participate by asking them questions, following along. And the reason we do that is because it enrolls them in the story, and they're having an internal dialogue and finding themselves in the story that we're walking through. And that's one of those things, is the 3 tax boxes. So how do I do that via Zoom? Well, we created this PowerPoint that helps us do that. And so you can click through to the first box, if you will. And see, now, as you can see here, it has the now box. You can keep clicking until everything fills itself in. See how it fills itself in? Well, it only fills itself in after they've given me the answer. So I'll ask Bob, Mary, can you tell me what accounts fall in this first category of the now box? And they'll guess savings, CDs, stocks, and you help them fill it in, and they're participating, and we're creating a relationship and having fun together learning, okay? The second tax box. I'm not going to go through how all these things work. I think it's just getting the concept and the idea of it being an electronic format in which you can interact with your clients. Okay, same thing. So here's the later box, Bob and Mary, and here's how you can see the red lines really are really prompting them to interact and answer what's in this category. I know if they're interacting, they also are learning, and that's how you really provide value for your clients. Okay, next one. Okay, so that kind of summarizes those two, and then the third one here, of course, is the never box. And we go through and we educate them on this. And before I fill in the blanks again, I don't just give them the answers, because then I have no participation. They're not enrolled. They're not listening, right? So if they know they have to participate, enroll, answer questions, they're going to be involved, they're going to listen, and they're going to participate, and they're going to learn all at the same time, okay? And so go ahead to the next. And then the Index Universal Life, I go through this and really solidify how this works, because again, our job is to educate and teach. So I go through this with them via Zoom. And before I fill everything in, I'm explaining it. And then the next piece I want to explain, I'll hit enter. It'll come into the picture. Here's what you don't want to do. You do not want to fill in all the blanks for them ahead of time, because then they'll read ahead and they won't listen and they won't interact. And it just won't have the same impact. You want to tell a story that's coming alive while they're listening, kind of like when you're watching a movie. And that's what really puts a lot of power and emphasis, relationship behind meeting in a virtual setting. Okay, you can go to the next slide. Okay. So as I start to wind down here, I have my timer on here, but here's some key points to keep in mind. These are extremely important. Key points when filling out the application, okay? Be excited as you present your recommendation. If you aren't excited, your client won't be excited about taking action. So that right there is number one. During the recommendation, also use true takeaways that establish value. This is important because most people don't see value in something that is free or something they can have without having to qualify. Most people look forward to and get excited about qualifying for a credit card, mortgage, car loan. You know, when you're excited about applying for something and getting the exciting news that you've qualified, people get excited about that stuff. What we do here is the same thing. It's the same mindset of a client that has to qualify for an account that you've recommended, but only if you establish this as you present your recommendation. You've got to have self-awareness, and you've got to be very present in what you're sharing. You've got to be very mindful of how am I affecting their mindset right now? Are they participating? Are they enrolled? Are they excited? So that's up to us as right, the educators, to do those things. So here's the example. Okay, for example, with the IUL, this is a takeaway, the medical qualification. It's absolutely true, 100%. So Bob, Mary, now I know that you're excited about using this as your overall long-term retirement plan. However, there's no guarantee that we can use this because we don't know if you're going to medically qualify. We have no idea if we're going to be able to get you approved or not. So let's not get too excited. Let's not get ahead of ourselves quite yet. But all we can do is cross our fingers and hope, and just give it time and patience, and hope that we get good news in a month or two from now, when everything is over and the underwriting process is completed. Okay, that's a takeaway. That's how you establish that value. So they're going to get excited. They're going to keep that policy. Your retention increases, and so that's important. Okay, next slide. Okay, follow up throughout the underwriting process. This is super important too. A lot of us don't follow up because we feel that, boy, if we disturb the nest, everything's quiet. If we reach out and call, for whatever reason, we feel like they might not want to move forward, or they might cancel the policy, whatever the case may be. Stop it. Stop it. If you don't communicate with them, then they don't want to move forward, okay? So keep your client excited and engaged throughout the underwriting process. Upon approval, call them with excitement to announce the great news that they have qualified, okay? Schedule the delivery in person versus electronic delivery. I just don't like the electronic delivery, and so I interact with my clients, and here's why. This is your opportunity to reinforce their whys and all the reasons that they got involved with the plan. Write down 4 to 5 of their reasons and goals, and how the account will help them achieve what is important to them, including the following letter. If you go to the next slide, okay. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but you and I have similar purposes in the world, okay? This right here is almost a written dialogue that basically they can identify with, almost as if they have written this, meaning this is how much this policy means to me. Here are the reasons why I set this up. Here's what this policy is going to do for me. Here are the other things that I'm going to be able to do in my life, my retirement, send my kids to college, pay off my dream home, support aging parents. If I pass away, it'll take care of my loved ones. I won't leave any of my family behind, right? This right here is a dialogue that's written, but it speaks to their souls. It moves them, and it creates an emotion where they're so attached to that policy that they'll never let that thing go. And so with some of the things that are written out, some of their goals that we talked about, and as to why we were going to suggest this, why we made this recommendation, along with this letter, I believe is a game changer. And I think it'll increase our retention, it'll increase our numbers, it'll increase all the families that are helped, and that'll increase everything for our families as well. Okay, next slide. Is that my last one? That might be my last one. There we go. Follow up and referrals, okay? Because I've built such a relationship dialogue with my families I've met with via Zoom so far from point A all the way to point Z. By the time we get through all of these things together, we come to, I think, the most important part. As Dan says, if you want to create financial independence, you have got to know the name of the game. You've got to know the rules to the game, right? So follow-up and referrals are important. Contact your clients before, during, and after, okay? When the market is good, bad, or otherwise. This keeps you busy. Schedule an annual review. Check this out, you guys. This brings repeat business such as rollovers, increased contributions, new accounts due to life changes, new jobs, babies, marriage, divorce, inheritance, sold home, bought home, new life insurance policies, referrals, and much more. Just because they meet with us one time doesn't mean that they're done. It needs to be a constant update, a constant communication. So referrals come by establishing the value of your time, effort, and work from the moment that you meet. So as you go through the process with a client, it's very important to plant seeds of what you're going to provide to them and how you're going to help them become financially independent and help them meet their goals. The average cost of what we do ranges from $2,000 to $5,000, which the client would pay anyone else in the industry, right? I mean, that's an eye-opener. They would pay this to anybody else in the industry, to all the other companies that are out there. Okay, but we aren't charging them for our value of $2,000, right? What somebody would charge them $2,000 for, I'm going to do on a complimentary basis, right? I'm still going to do the work that's valued at $2,000, right? So that the way that they pay you is with referrals, right? The way that they pay is with referrals. And so I think it's important that we establish our value and plant seeds all throughout the process from start to finish as to what we're going to provide. And by the time we're done, they should have no problem whatsoever of referring us to the people that we've asked them to refer us to, all throughout our entire dialogue, leaving them a sheet, leaving them their homework. I'm going to do my homework for you. That's a $2,000, $3,000 value, whatever your hourly pay would be, right? I'm going to do $2,000 worth of work for you for free, for nothing. And so can I ask you to do me a favor? Can you do some homework for me? Right? And then you give them a sheet and you tell them, here's what we do. Here's what I would like for you to do. I'm going to do my homework and come back with the solutions. And I want you to do your homework and come back with the solutions for me. Does that sound fair? Because you know what, quite frankly, and this is not what I say, but this is between all of us. If it doesn't sound fair, then what are we doing? Right? But typically it does sound fair, because if we're doing a good enough job from the onset, going in, establishing that foundation and being real strong and straight about it and planting those seeds as to how valuable we are, our time, and what we're going to do for them, it changes their life, right? So we have to lay that foundation and get real good at making sure that we're doing our due diligence from the very beginning. So that's what I have for you guys, and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And yeah, I appreciate talking to all of you guys today, and I'm excited to hear from the next speaker.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel. And it's Rachel O'Connell. I stand corrected. I know that. I have it forming. I call you Rachel Onstadt. I love you. I'm a Hague forever too, so it's all good. But I just want to thank you so much. You had some great nuggets, and it was real talk. That was awesome. I love all the questions and the disturbing and intriguing that you have there. And I want that tax box video, man. Woo, that was hot. I saw the comments coming in. You should see I'm taking notes in my journal. I'm taking notes for you, and I'm watching the comments, man. This is like, I'm on fire. And I love your, everything you talked about, follow up all the way through the underwriting process. That's huge, you guys. I love communicating with my clients. They want to know that you're here. And I think it's true that some people maybe sometimes are afraid to communicate because they're not quite confident in their game of their business yet. Don't hesitate. I think it's actually better, and it reinforces it once you get over that fear. So thank you so much, and planting seeds throughout the process. I just love that. Thank you so much, Rachel. We appreciate you, Rachel O'Connell. And the next person I want to bring up is a gentleman that's out of the Dream Givers team. He's an EVC, and he came out of corporate America. He was there for a long time. And he's actually had one of the fastest growing businesses from SME to CEO to EVC in record time. So you're going to definitely want to listen to this guy. I know he's going to be on fire. He's a great husband, father, and so much more. He's a $500,000 ring earner on his way to more here soon. And he's going to talk about how to close your IUL. So let's give it up for my friend and colleague, Jeff Brookshire.
Well, thank you, Lauren. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So listen, I've got a short time like everybody else. Everyone's done a great job keeping it on time. I'm going to do the same thing. In fact, I've got a closing appointment in about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So here we go. Listen, my topic's how to close an IUL. And so when we help a family with an IUL, Index Universal Life, we're not helping them. They're not buying the IUL, they're buying us. Right? At the end of the day, they're buying us. So really, we can talk about the tech we need. We can talk about the technical part. But at the end of the day, what we have to work on the most is ourselves. And so I use tech, but I am not tech. So you're not going to see a slick presentation. You're not going to see a very techy presentation. It's going to be a very real presentation. So that's what I'm going to give to you guys. So for example, right now we've got 3 categories of people who buy IULs. We've got people that are business owners that have some money set aside, that are successful, whose businesses and jobs are not at risk whatsoever. And then we can do a regular presentation with them. But because we're in the middle of a huge recession and crisis, unlike we've ever seen before, we have to consider a couple of different things. So right now, I'm focusing a lot on low cost and no cost solutions, right? No cost and low cost solutions. And so you have someone that's got a job and a job's safe, great, we can do a normal presentation. But first, before I start, I want to give a piece of advice. Here's the piece of advice. When you're sitting down with a client, you need to think about them. Not you, them. And so they will know if you're real and you care about them or not. It's not about you making a sale, even if you're hurting from a financial perspective and you need this sale to put food on the table for your family, you still got to make sure you're thinking about them first. That's the first thing. The second thing is make sure if you're not used to going out and doing your own appointments successfully, please use a trainer. And if you're not sure, refer to your SMD. They'll make the right call for you to whether you use a trainer or not. So right now, today, the IUL market is a little bit different. There are some people that are unaffected. People with money and secure jobs are completely the same right now. But we had 26 million. So the current number is 26 million unemployment claims, and it's likely to go even double of that. And so you don't want to write a policy and then have a $600 a month policy and then have your client call you up in 3 months going, oh my God, you know what? I just got laid off. I can't do my policy. It doesn't help you, it doesn't help them. So we need to be very, very aware of that. So be aware before we go into the IUL piece, don't be afraid to write term. If someone's job is at risk or their money's not great, don't be afraid to write a term right now. And don't be afraid to take an IUL and make it smaller. You can make up for the size of it through volume by talking to more people. And so that's it. So before I get started in that, I want to talk about the tech since we're on Zoom. So obviously you should know how Zoom works. You should know how to use the share screen and all that stuff. I'm going to show you how I do it. But first, make sure you have Zoom and spend a little money, have the professional version of Zoom so you have no limit on time. Also, you need a good stylus. You need a good stylus. So this one's got a big fat round part on one side, and it's got a narrow part because whatever you write for your client, they need to be able to see. So I know this is basic stuff, but I don't know who all's watching. There's 511 people, so I want to make sure I cover everything. Also, make sure you're in a good location. Make sure you're dressed professionally, right? You can wear shorts underneath if you want, but look professional on the top side, right? Because you're the financial professional. And then also be comfortable with all the electronic submissions. So basically, all the products we have, including the IUL, were designed for times like this. So this is a great time where people don't want any risk, but they want to have gain. So this is a great time. So let's do that. I'm getting ready to go into the presentation. One quick note. No amount of tech is going to make up for a lack of trust and a lack of skill. So those two things are very, very important. It's one of the reasons that you use a trainer and you work with a trainer so you can start building your own power when you present. The other thing is no amount of training on how to close an IUL does you any good if you don't have any appointments, right? You need appointments. So one of the things I'm challenging you to, we have training right now and you're gonna be trained. Training, by the way, has been phenomenal so far, just been outstanding to this point, and I'm sure will be continued to be so. But you need appointments. I mean, right now you should be reaching out to people like crazy. You should have multiple chances to reach out and help people. So that's the first part. Second part, I'm gonna make a couple of assumptions. So we're doing an IUL. I'm gonna assume that the IUL is properly set up. I'm gonna assume that it's properly set up, that they know why we're sitting down and you know why we're sitting down. I'm gonna also make sure that both decision makers or all decision makers are gonna be present, because doing a presentation without having the wife there or the husband there or the father there who helps make decisions is kind of pointless, because then you have to make the presentation again, or worse yet, they're going to make the presentation to their spouse and you're going to have spousal deafness kick in and they're going to say no. So you want all the decision makers there. It needs to be age appropriate, right? So you don't want to sit down with an 80-year-old and talk about life insurance. Also, proper edification. So if you're doing your own appointment, you probably know how to edify yourself. If you're doing an appointment with a trainee, the trainee's job is to do a really good job of edifying you realistically. And then as much information in advance as you can get, like, oh, they've got a Primerica policy, or they have a policy from work. It's for $250,000. The more information you have up front, the more preparation you can do. So literally preparation and the pre-frame is about 30 to 50% of the actual presentation. So there's that. So what's our responsibility as presenters? Here's the responsibility. Number one, you got to be real. You got to be real. You got to be dressed like a pro. What I've started doing with my presentations is I actually, for meetings, you want to be early. For my presentations on Zoom, I want to be on time, but not early. Here's why. If my trainee's not there and I show up, because this happened to me last week, I show up, client there, sitting there kind of, it's not, so I wait until the exact time, and now I instruct my trainee to go, make sure you're early so you can talk to them. Okay, next. So let's talk about the process of edification. It's basically the same. So the trainee edifies the trainer, right? Or you explain who you are and you self-edify, and then you want to build rapport. This part's really important for the COVID virus. So there are 2 questions I asked. So each stranger met them before. Here's the 2 questions I asked them, because I need to rapport. My first question is, are you guys okay? I know that I care, and it builds instant rapport. So people are, you know, I had a client, one of my clients died yesterday. So, I mean, you don't know who you're talking to. Maybe they've got a catastrophe. You can, that's the build rapport. Second way that you build rapport, you can, you're going to give them a great, see if it shows, because I rapport with them. We need, that's why it's called analysis. So a big part of, right? And then we use the 6 boxes. I'm going to show you how this is now. It's electronic. It's work. And with a client, I go, okay, for the client, and winner. Good. Okay. And so we talk about protection in this particular case. And his wife's on the policy. Okay, not a problem. And then
hey Jeff, we're having a hard time hearing you. It says your bandwidth is low.
Can you hear me?
We can't hear you.
Okay, I'm not.
Yeah, we can't see you, Jeff.
Oh, share. Okay, froze completely.
Okay, we can hear you now. It says your network bandwidth is low, Jeff.
All right, on.
You know what? This is okay. You work on it for a minute. I had no internet an hour before the meeting started as your MC. My power went completely out. So it's part of being in business. He's going to get that up and running. Can you talk? Can you say something?
Can you hear me? No.
Okay, let's see. We're gonna give you one more shot. We got this. Well, I will let you guys know while he's figuring this out. He is gonna be our guest speaker, and his internet's gonna be awesome on Saturday. He's gonna be the guest speaker along with Dan. So he's gonna be getting the BPM done. That's at 10 a.m. on Saturday. So make sure you register for that tomorrow. And I apologize, Jeff. We're gonna keep moving forward. Hopefully you get that fixed for your appointment. We appreciate you. What I did get out of his information so far was the basics, right? To be prepared, to make sure you have, obviously dress professional, have a stylist that works, know how to communicate through Zoom and things like that. And he said, making sure no amount of your tech though, that is gonna really overcome anything that they have with you, as far as they wanna make sure that they trust you, that they believe in you, and that you know your products. And that's ultimately what's important. Nobody's perfect on Zoom. We're all learning this together. But what I do know is that helps, but it's not everything at all. What's most important is our trust that they have with us and what we know of our products and services. So I'm excited for you. Just give me one moment. We got the next speaker coming up. I'm excited for it. This person is a former nurse, former frontliner, married, and in the business with his wife, Marie. And he took hold of WFG and he saw the mission and the vision and built his dream here. And he went full time with WFG. He crossed over $250,000 really quick with our company. And he's got a great inspiration. I'm excited for you to hear from him. This topic is going to be closing an annuity. Please give it up for my dear colleague, Aubrey Martinez.
Everyone, can you hear me? Oh, there you go.
Yes, you can.
Yep. Thank you. Well, I appreciate being here on the call. And the topic is all about how to effectively close a rollover. And so, okay, so they can control these slides. And basically, so the next slide, I just want to make it simple. And this presentation, I brought it down to 3 key points, which is number 1, want to make sure you identify the need for the rollover. There's a lot of associates out there that will come to me and ask questions and say, hey, I have potential rollover. I have a friend, I have a coworker that needs some rollover. And I always ask these questions, what's the need for doing the rollover, right? So number 1, you need to identify, is it for the protection of the savings or the retirement savings? Number 2, is it for the growth? Or lastly, or maybe an income for life? There are some options wherein I have an experience wherein it's for the legacy purpose. That's why I wrote it there, legacy or maybe charity. Always find a need on doing the rollover. Number 2, again, and I always ask, qualify the rollover business. Is the person or is the client is 59 and a half years old, right? Someone approached me and I asked, how young is the client? And they say like 51, right? So you need to identify, is there a need? Number 2 is, would they qualify? Another qualification is, does the 401k will come from a previous job? Or does it has a surrender-free period? So number 1, you need to identify that need. And number 2, and this is, I'm very, very focused on building the relationship. Because I don't know if you heard about, I always do presentations on a 90%, 5%, and a 5%. I call it my 95-5 rule. And there's nothing that changed the way we run or conduct the rollover. The only change at this time is the mode of communication. The presentation is the same. The contact, the prospecting, the phone calls, building relationship is the only difference. That's why I wrote it here, number 1. Clients need to feel they're safe and secured. That means they need to arrive in that feeling so that they can spend time with you and make sure what's full of your state. your state and how you deliver the message to them, your energy, right? And your purpose of doing it. When I mean about purpose is what's in your heart while helping them in this scenario, right? So even then we change from a human contact connection to a virtual. The only one that changed is the mode of communication. And one way of compensating of lack of physical presence is your state, where you are right now, and your energy and how you deliver the message. What I did was I double my energy and I bring my state to the highest possible so that our client or the retiree that we're serving can feel it in the other line of technology. So I think that's the number one key when we handle helping a rollover. Number two, find what's important to them: family, spouse, their kids, grandkids, or maybe they want to preserve some property. I wrote pets because one of my clients, their pets get involved in the conversation, and guess what? When I build relationship, guess what? Their pets are included in the conversation. The reason I did that, and the reason we must do that, is whatever important to them, emotions creates that's really important to them that affects the decision making, and that's the key. And if you've seen me handle the rollover and building relationship, pretty much 90% of my time just talking about their family, what's important for them. I hope you guys will get my message, because no matter how good you are on the technical side of presentation, how good looking you are, how great your car looks like, but if you miss the 90% meat of closing the rollover, we don't want to waste time, and want to make sure that the client will feel safe and secured in helping, in talking in front of us, and that's the key point in this I call it the art of rollover. If we can go to the next slide. And that's number 3, right? Make it simple. This is my 5%. After I build my relationship 90% of the time, this is my 5%. Make sure that your presentation is simple and clear. Number 1, ask the income needed to live comfortably upon retiring for the client. Ask them, right? How much you need to live comfortably for the rest of your life, right? And number 2, create an inflation-proof plan. That means they can maintain their buying power 10, 20 years when they retire. So FIA, or fixed index annuity, with a 10% SI, which means simple interest per year, or a 6 to 7% CI is compounding interest per year, equalizes to doubles in 10 years. Right? And I'm going to show that in my next slide later on. Number 3, make sure you show 2 to 3 illustrations. That means you're providing an options for the client, because options, most of us doesn't know that options we provide to the clients creates empowerment. Imagine now they have an options to choose between 1, 2, or 3 programs that suits their needs. And always focus on the main thing. What's the main thing? Benefits and values. Lastly, number 4, make sure you do the full disclosure. Full disclosure, that means SC is for surrender charge. RF is the rider fee. If there's a rider fee, don't be fearful of saying there's a 1% rider fee in exchange of lifetime guaranteed income, right? Or the PFW is the penalty-free withdrawal, right? Make sure that you do the full disclosure. If we don't do the right thing and the clients turn around and all this disclosure was not mentioned, and challenges would happen, and they can turn back to you. So if we can go to the next slide on, I just want to show the illustrations as simple as we can do. I don't know if I can write here, but if you can see, this is one of my clients that I prepared. Hopefully I can write. Okay. So if you can take a look, the client is 64 years old, rollover a 7-figure retirement savings. And for some reason, this company, I put these illustrations, it's a compliant, that means there's no name of the company. They said that you can crop the illustration part. So, but for some of you, probably you know which company is this. So a client rollover 7-figure retirement savings, and this company provides 15% bonus on top of the rollover money on the income-based value. All right. So how you design it, if the client can afford to live with the Social Security benefits and the pension, if they have, and let this 1.1 million doubles in 10 years. If you can see on the number 10 on 874, imagine the client will definitely get a guaranteed, I hope I can encircle this, guaranteed lifetime income withdrawal of $118,250 on the column highlighted, the light green here. And I asked our client, hope you don't mind, how young is your mom? And she said, my mom passed away at the age of 98. Imagine if this client lives from 74 years old to 98, that would be how many years, right? So client will have a guaranteed $118,000 and $150 for a lifetime. If we can go to the next slides. And this one, I know there's a lot of columns and everything. What I said is about focus mainly on what benefits the client. If you can insert, if we can do the account value, explain them in simple way. The account value is the actual value of their money. And then if we elect the income for life guaranteed, if this is where the income benefit base, they will base their income. If you can see the third column from the right, counting to the left, you can see the income benefit base. And this client of mine would like to earn an income, start a lifetime income the 5th year that will guarantee of $7,512 for life, right? So these are the thing that you want to share, because numbers are absolute. So if we can go to the next slides. So in closing, right? In closing, this is a big deal when you deliver the message with all the great benefits of protection, growth potential, and guaranteed lifetime income for you and your family. Would it make sense for us to move forward and make your retirement dreams a reality? And then you pause. Never say a single word. And I would probably say 95 to 98% of the time they would say yes after I've done and spent time with them. If we can go to the next slide, I want to share that will benefit our associate right here. So in closing, make sure you have these 3 mindset, right? The business mindset is always think about win-win. Win-win, always ask this question, is it good for the client? Of course it is, right? It protects their hard-earned retirement savings from, especially right now when the market tanks down. Is it good for the company, our company? And when it's good for the company, when I'm talking about good for the company, it provides a business that trickles down to those workforce from the product provider, from the, if it's an IUL, from the blood work companies to even to the postal service, right? Is make sure you always think about the win-win in both company, the client, and lastly, is it win-win for you as an agent? And if I can show you this compensation of a regular 401k that I sat down on an average of 300,000 at 6%. 6% is the product guide commission based on the amount that we rolled over. Let's say a new associate that's licensed, newly licensed, I'm doing the work. If that's the amount, we split it at a contract level of an associate. So half of 300,000, $150,000 at 6%, that's 9,000 points, personal points for you. And as an associate of a 35%, I believe, contract on annuity rollover, just you watching me, right, learning how to help and protect the retirement of our client, you getting paid of $3,150, right? So one day you'll learn how to do this on your own and have a 300,000, you doing it on yourself, and guess what? You get paid 6,300 on that one. And I just want to share to you, like on our way to, before we do the Zoom bootcamp, I was on my client, right? I was on my client. I don't know if you can see on the camera, right? But anyway, I'll share it later on. I pick up a check, and then the business is amazing at this time. There's no exception, right? The client is willing to meet me 6 feet away, and and instead of throw the check to me, that she handed to me, and me wearing the mask. But pretty much a new associate, let's say someone that earns like this, is pretty amazing. So just want to let you know, someone that's newly licensed in our business at this time, getting contract and appointed nowadays through Crump, let's say, is within 24 to 48 hours. That's through electronic contracting, right? And product training after that you only need to spend maybe 10 to 20 minutes, right? And you get appointed and you're ready to rock and roll on this one. So third, make sure you're aware, right? You're aware that who will benefit from this program, right? Make sure now you know that there are programs out there that will benefit you and your loved one, your family, relatives, and coworkers. Now the question now, who among on my top 25 list, right, will benefit from protecting their retirement and provide them with lifetime income and get a chance to bring value to the company that I work with, a value to the hierarchy that I belong to, and especially to the family that really need the income at this moment, right? If we can go to the last slide, I don't know if this is my last slides, right? Thank you so much, by the way. If you have any questions, this is my direct number. And I hope if I can get back to the camera, I don't know if you guys can see me, just want to share to you. No exception, the client calls you, and maybe my mentor will love seeing this. So I dropped by to my one of my clients in Moreno Valley at 2 o'clock. I know the meeting is 3, and I just want to share to you, I'm going to black the name, and just want to share to you, this was called to me, blessings being business with the Synergy Financial, with the Dream Givers, under the mentorship of my Paul, right? And thank you for being present in this. I hope you learned something, and send a questions to me directly or email me. And thank you. I appreciate, hope you learned something. And thank you guys. I'll see you guys in the top.
All right. Wow. Aubrey, you're always crushing it. And no excuses. Doesn't matter. There's no pandemic in Aubrey's world, man. He's just collecting checks and making money and changing lives there. I love it. Thank you so much. I love your 3 key points on your closing of your rollover and your 3 mindsets as well. Man, woo! I wanna be like you when I grow up and getting all those IUL and annuities, indexed annuities. And I'm excited because we got someone that's gonna share with you about variable annuities. And this girl's she's on fire. I have the pleasure of working closely with this person for several years on the variable world. She's a $250,000 earner on her way to $500,000. She's in business with her husband, Ryan. She homeschools her kids, so this is nothing new for her. She's like, this is business as usual, guys. What's happening? And she's designed her life with this priority in order with faith, family, and her business. She's one of my great friends. Please give it up for Natalie Plant.
All right. Thank you so much, Lauren. You're doing such a great job with being our MC today. And, you know, Aubrey did such a great job with explaining how he closes an index annuity. And I want to make sure that you guys know the process. And I think the things that everybody is saying is pretty much the same. We're still closing. We still have our conviction, but there's some little nuances or maybe things that have been around for a while that you haven't been using yourself. So I want to make sure that you guys are hearing that and you're getting a chance to see that today, because all these things have been around, but we need to leverage our system and use our platform for them. So for me, I want to show you guys how I do it specifically. And we've been closing on Zoom for a while, and it's just been a couple little changes that I think you guys can implement very, very quickly. So the first slide is going to talk all about how we disturb and intrigue. And I think Rachel did a great job of doing that. I think when you're closing, whether it's on Zoom or whether it's face-to-face, your idea should be that they would be crazy to not actually want to do this product. So my close is very assumptive. I assume that they're going to want to do business because I'm going to make a case for them that's going to make it to where they can't really say no because they would look like an idiot if they said no. So I hope that, and I do that in a very gentle way, right? So I want you guys to see, this is actually a really great piece to share if you're securities licensed. And this is actually just showing historical performance all the way up from 1996 down to 2020. And you can see the ups and downs. You can see where the market went up and when it went down. They all remember 2008. They remember that they lost money in 2008. And of course, when they lost money in 2008, they gained it back. So they kind of forgot how the market has been so volatile. And that's why right now it's so successful for a lot of us, because they know, unfortunately, a lot of them already lost money because maybe they didn't listen to us. But look at this graph, right? You can see in 2007, when the market turned in October, and boom, 2008 down 57%. And then we've just been going up. We've been climbing till 2020. And what's crazy about this is how sharp the market went down. And so I want you guys to see this, because all you have to do is point out to them, look, we want to be in a position where we're catching the upswings, but we're protecting ourselves as much as we can from the downswing. Do you want to be on the forefront of this? Do you want to make sure that you're in a position where you can catch all those upswings and protect your money when it's down? Next slide. So I don't know anybody that would say no, they don't want to be there. So once you can get them to commit to that, just is exactly what Rachel said, then you can show them an illustration. And Aubrey said, show multiple illustrations. That's your choice if you want to do that. I do that sometimes, but for the most part, I'll say, here you go. Here's what I recommend, because I'm the expert and you're not, right? I don't say that, but I give that energy. And here's an example of a great plan, right? So I'll give you a quick example. I just did this one on Wednesday. I actually met with a lady that was referred to me. So we never met except for virtually. And this was an example of her account. And I showed her putting away $150,000, what it would look like, right? So I just wanted to give you an idea. It's a one-page illustration. There's a lot of companies now that are offering one-page illustration, so you don't have to go into a bunch of details and confuse the client. What I want you guys to remember is that we're meeting with people virtually and their attention span is very small. So having a 2-hour conversation with them to close is very, very hard to keep them focused and engaged. You will literally see them on the screen like, okay, like I'm done listening to you, right? So you want to make it effective and say more with less, right? Less words, be effective. So one illustration showing them what it's going to look like and what you're going to be able to do from them to protect their money, but also help them gain their money, gain when the market comes back, because it will come back, then we want to capture both sides, right? Especially if you're securities licensed. Next slide. So we disturb, we intrigue, we show them the illustrations, and then on the next slide, what we do is we actually go through, there we go. We go through and we take them through, once we get them to commit, we take them through to Firelight. So I'm just going to talk about this really, really briefly because I want you guys to see what Firelight looks like. I think most of you guys are using it. I can tell you, for those of you securities licensed, if you can go to the next slide, those of you that are securities licensed, you don't want to be collecting apps. I was talking to somebody a while back when we were in the office, and they were telling me how they still were collecting paper apps. And I was shocked that they were collecting paper apps, because I'm like, I won't even write the business if it's not on Firelight, right? Because you can actually go on, share your screen with the client and sit there and type in the information, and you can have the app submitted while you're having that conversation with them. Boom, you just type it right in. So if you go on TFA, it tells you step by step, how do I get on? How do I log on to Firelight? Enter the app. This is no different than what you can do on Prompt. This is no different than when you put in an index annuity. You could put it in right online while you're talking to them. So I want you guys to think about it from a client's perspective. Do you want to do business with somebody who is making you do all the work and fill out all the paperwork or do it electronically? Like, wouldn't you rather somebody who takes care of everything for you and does it for you? I personally, that's how I do business with people. If they want my business, they've got to make it seamless where I almost have to do nothing, and they're willing to do it for me as long as I believe in what they're showing me. Next slide. So otherwise, what do they have you for? Yes, they have you for, recommendations, but what about the rest, right? Doing it for you. So it's really, really simple. After I enter their information, actually, can you go back one? Alyssa's way ahead of me, so she knows I missed something. So look at this. It says Firelight application and phone call. So I want to make a key point here. So you're putting in the application, but when it comes to rolling over annuities, you guys have to get on the phone with the provider. So this is stuff that I think we don't tell you often enough, and you need to hear it again. When you actually on Zoom, you close them, you put in the app, you get on the phone with that 3-way phone call so that you can get the check issued. So the lady I was telling you about on Wednesday, our appointment, I think it was like at 12:30. We were on the phone with the provider by 1 o'clock. Okay, and she ended up, we found out she had just under 170,000, it was like 169 and change. We're on the phone with the provider at 1 o'clock, or before 1 o'clock at 12:30, and we were actually calling to get the check issued. So we actually called, we got the check issued, it was approved by the company the same day, right? Our back office is already at Bright House, they'll have the check next week. So it should not be a hard, long process. Some of your beliefs is that doing rollover takes forever, or it doesn't pay you right away. Well, I'm pretty sure, you know, it'll actually pay next week because I got the check issued. So don't skip and don't get hung up on what to say. Make it seamless and easy for the client. So we make the phone call, it's done, right? The check is issued. And then if you could go to the next slide now. So I want to kind of recap with you guys. One of the things that I also do, right? So now we're down to number 4, collecting the app on Firelight, making a phone call. Number 6 is I send an email. Once we get off the phone, I actually send an email because I have their email address because I used it for Zoom. So I send them an email and I say, hey, here's a review of what we talked about today, right? This is what I showed them. I send them a copy of the illustration, and I actually send them some brochures. Because sometimes I go through the brochure, sometimes I don't, keep it simple, but I'll send them the brochure so that they can see them, and that way they can open up the email and look through all the information if they feel more comfortable. The other thing I would say too is don't be afraid to set up a KTP3. I mean, it's Zoom. You're not driving back out to their house. I mean, I've done KTP3s and I've had to drive an hour away, right? You do what you got to do. But it's on Zoom, so you could actually do a KTP3 with them. Say, hey, we met today. Let's say Wednesday. She wasn't ready to move forward. That's fine. Why don't we meet on Friday, right? I would just set it up for Friday and just do it a couple days later or the next day so that she has time to think about it. That's totally fine. Don't be opposed to that because it's simple and it's something that they could just hop on and get on with, right? So we're going to actually go ahead and send them an email to review everything. And then I usually text them along the way, hey, everything's going great. I'll let you know as soon as they receive the check. I just text them and keep in communication. I think all the closers have said that today. Make sure you're in communication. And then now you can also request that the delivery be done e-delivery. So you can have it done where it's either e-delivery, so it's sent to their email. You can request that, check a box, or you can have it sent directly to their house. So you don't have to go back out and take the policy, especially right now. Some people don't want you in their house, frankly. So you should just have it sent directly to them. And imagine, you can go to the next slide. Imagine as you are doing this, the amount of referrals, because it's seamless, it's easy, right? And it's something that you're actually taking on a lot of the bulk of the work for them, and it's been on their to-do list. We're going to make it simple and easy for them, and then they're going to want to do business and want to send you more people for sure. That's all I have today. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Natalie. I love it. You talk fast. I can keep up with you, and great stuff. And I love all your review points. Thank you so much. It's awesome to be able to close on Zoom. I can see that she's been doing it and that she's going to continue doing it. And one of the biggest things I got out of that, Natalie, was when you talked about making sure that you get the mailing figured out, because that'll save a lot of time. You can just check a box and get it electronically delivered and be ahead of that. Man, it's easy for you. The client's happy. Everybody wins. You get paid faster too. I mean, that's the bonus part, and everything gets in place faster for the client. So that's huge. Thank you so much. The next section we're going to be covering, now that we covered all of step 3, we're halfway done, you guys, with our BFS school, virtual BFS school. The next one is going to be step 4, and we got an amazing $250,000 earner that's going to be speaking with us. She's an EMD, and she's part of the field advisory board. She's a board member. She's a wife, a mom, and a friend to all of us. And I'm super excited to hear from her. She's got some great nuggets to share with you. Please give it up for Nikki Cannon going over step 4, follow-up interview. All right. Okay, we cannot hear you yet, Nikki.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
All right.
Yes.
All right, thanks. Hey, you guys, everybody's done such an amazing job today. I hope that I can bring some value to step 4. So we covered the first 3 steps up to presenting to the client or doing a BPM presentation. So the next step, step 4, is super important, and this is the first 4 filters, which includes the hiring interview. So let's jump into it. So the first thing is, you guys, a lot of these things have been covered and reiterated You know why? Because they're so important. Like, they're so crucial to our system and our part of the business. So as we do a deep dive into the subsystems of these first 4 filters, let's take a look at setting standards. You know, I was telling my team the other day that I had an opportunity to be in a training with Ed Milet. He was training about 50 of his new guys a couple of months ago. And I went to that training. I was like, what's Ed going to say? What's he going to talk about? And the reality was, for all 50 of his new recruits, he broke out the VFS system and he went through the VFS book literally word by word. That's how intense he ran the system. That's how precise he ran the system. And that's how much psychology there is behind running this system tight. So these first 4 filters are crucial. It's what's made Rich Thawley and Monty Holm and Ed Milet, it's what's made them millions, is running these systems. So one of the things you want to make sure is you want to set standards with your new recruit, and you want to be recruiting in the market. So there's a tendency right now to look for the people who are, you know, under 25, no job, no car, living at home. Those are the ones that you're going to get in the hiring interview that are like, wow, this seems awesome, but I got to talk to my mom. I don't have $100. Like, so save yourself a lot of trouble and feed the tiger what it eats. And what the tiger eats is in the market people. Make sure you tell your guests to dress sharp, be punctual. Don't let people be casual. Ed Milet always said this is the most crucial beginning of you with your new recruit is, can they follow instructions? So give them instructions. You know, be on the Zoom at just before 7 o'clock, be on time. This is your first opportunity to start leading them and helping them to be coachable. Confirm your guests 3 ways. I know I heard Yvonne say it. I know I heard Leah and Bobby talk about it. Confirm your guests. So if you were to go to a doctor's office, a dentist's office, like, how many times does your dentist confirm you nowadays? Don't they confirm you by text? Don't they confirm you by email? Don't they call you? Like, don't they stalk you? So those are professional industries. We are professional industry too. So your guests need to be confirmed professionally 3 ways: by text, by campaign manager email, and by phone call, which has been talked about today. Edify your SMD or your upline that they will see on the Zoom BPM. So tomorrow we've got Jeff Brookshire, right? Executive Vice Chairman, over $500,000 earner, is going to be speaking, as well as Dan's going to be speaking tomorrow. So be sure that you edify those individuals before they get on, and then edify your SMD or whoever's going to be doing that interview. And then, as talked about earlier, immediately call guests that didn't show. And you know what? Call your associates that didn't show up on the corporate overview BPM too, because they needed to be up on the BPM, and you need to be tracking. Like, I was literally sitting here going through my leaders on the team and asking them, how many people do you have on this training right now? You need to always know what your numbers are. So on the next slide, we can see that that first filter, well, actually the BSC Pro. So the BSC Pro is a way, like Yvonne talked about, that you should be capturing those guests. You and your team should be entering those guests on the BSC Pro as invites, just like you would if we were running regular in the office BPM. And so don't leave this part of it out. Don't leave this step out, because you've still got to track your business. You've still got to know what your numbers are. You've still got to be able to analyze, am I on track? Have I lost people? Who had people on the call? And BSC Pro helps you to capture those invites and know before going into the BPM, how many invites do me and my team have for tonight. So don't miss that part of the system in running the BSC Pro. So filter 1, you guys, is stay after the BPM. So we're in a virtual world right now, and there's a lot of times when you get off the BPM, the virtual BPM, and you may not be able to get every single guest that was on the BPM. So you need to teach your people, especially your new people, what do they need to say to their guests, right? They need to immediately call them, and here's what they say. Wasn't that awesome? You know what? You guys won't believe this, but guess what? This is all right in the BFS. Wasn't that awesome? What part did you like the most? The part about helping people or the part about making money? Let's schedule your interview, and then get their interview scheduled right away. Get their interview scheduled right away. Next slide. So filter number 2 talks about getting a kit, right? Getting a kit. So why are filter number 1 and number 2 important? Because Rich Stolley always said that you get people's commitment through two ways, time and money. So anything you're going to have a commitment towards, it's going to be a commitment of time and money. So filter number 2, get a kit. What we've been doing now is we've been sending virtual kits. So you can go into your campaign manager. If you don't know how to use campaign manager, there are video tutorials on My WFG online, or you can get with your upline leadership and they can teach you how to set it up. You put your picture in there. It's got all kinds of content, pre-approved, all compliant. And essentially what we've done is we've just created the virtual BPM kit, and then you can go to the next slide. We've attached the links to the following things that would be inside the kit. So you can go to the next slide. So all of these things, commonly asked questions that Steve had created, websites that you would want them to go to, right? Those brochures, those are all inside that kit, which we send out with the campaign manager link right after the corporate overview. And those links are embedded into the campaign manager email. So filter number 3 is schedule an interview. So you want to make sure to help that new guest to find an interview time. And like has been said so many times before today, you should be scheduling that interview when you invite them. So like I had a guest that was on Tuesday night, and I told her, I said, listen, this is the corporate overview. This is going to be who's speaking. I edified them. And then I told her, I said, let's you and I talk right after it's over. I'm going to call you. And I called her the minute that it was done. And we did the interview right there the minute that the corporate overview was done. So sooner rather than later, and help them. And if they're giving you like objections, it's too late, I got the kids, I got to put dinner on, then help people to find a way to make it sooner rather than later. Okay, next slide. All right, so the interview. So now we're to the AMA and to the interview. So I know a lot of different offices do the interview differently. So what I wanted to include right here is exactly the most important questions that I ask on an interview. And I'm asking these on a virtual interview. So the first one is, what stood out to you the most from the corporate overview that you saw last night or this morning, right? Why do I ask that question? 2 reasons. The first reason is because that question immediately gives me all the intel. It immediately tells me every single thing that I know about that person that I'm getting ready to interview. It tells me whether they're fired up. So if they say, oh my God, I've been looking for this, I can't even believe that there was something like this out there, I know I'm not going to have to work so hard on this interview, right? If they tell me, well, I read some things on the internet and I got some questions, then I know, okay, I'm going to have to, do a little bit more work on this hiring interview. So that question, you guys, if you're not opening your hiring interview with that question, you're going into that interview blind. You're going into that interview talking and you have no idea where that person stands in that interview. So you want to get all the intel that you want up front. The second reason I ask this question is because it sells them the dream. So as soon as they start answering this question, they start reminding themselves why they should be doing this. I love your crusade. I love the way you help families. I love you guys' energy. I love learning about money. Like, they're telling me all this stuff. Guess what? They're selling me on why they should be doing this. And I don't have to work that hard after I ask this question. Second thing is, what are your important goals and dreams? Like, I want to know what it is that they want to accomplish. And then I'll ask, will you be able to accomplish those goals and dreams doing what you're doing right now? Because I want to back them into a corner. I want to show them that what they're doing is not going to get them where they're trying to go. And I want them to understand, what other option do you have out there other than WFG, right? And then the final 2 questions, you guys, if you get any kind of pushback or feedback on an interview, the final 2 questions, I swear 9 out of 10 times you're doing an interview will close that interview for you. And I hope you're writing these down, because I swear this will close that interview. Number 1 is, what's the worst thing that would happen by you giving this opportunity a try? I mean, honestly, because people are thinking in their head, they won't tell you, I don't know if I can do this. What if I fail? What if people laugh at me? Like, all these things are going through your head. So what this question does is it dials it down to the ridiculous. Like, give me a break. What's the worst thing that would happen by you giving this opportunity a try? Well, and then I answer it for them. The worst thing that would happen is that you would learn a lot about money. For who? For you, right? And then they're like, oh my God, well, that's worth $100 right there. Boom. The second thing I say is, what's the most likely thing that would happen by you giving this opportunity everything that you have? During this interview, you know, you seem to have great integrity, you've got a great work ethic, you've got a heart and desire to want to help other people and to want to make a difference. What would be the most likely thing that would happen by you giving this everything you got? Most likely thing that would happen is that you would do very well here in a very short period of time. Boom, done. So do you want to put that $100 on a Visa, MasterCard, or a debit card? All right. So we view our relationship as a partnership. So now I bring up my my really quick, it's a 5-slide PowerPoint screen. I bring that up on the screen in the interview. We view our relationship as a partnership. Our part is to provide a positive working environment and examples of success. We'll provide all the tools that you need, the system, the office, the software, the training, the marketing, the personal website. Our company does all of that. Your part is to complete this next 90-day plan and make it through our training program. Let's review the main parts of that 90-day plan. Next slide. I'll go through the 4 cash flow quadrants so that they can understand moving through the quadrants, going from, we're going to take you from employee to self-employed to business owner. Next slide. Then I'm going to go through, okay, so here's those 3 components. You're going to have classroom training. Wednesday, Saturday, we're doing that on Zoom right now. You're going to have field training. We're gonna match up with a licensed, experienced trainer. We're doing those on Zooms now. You can do 1 a week. You can do 5 a day. It's totally up to you and your schedule. Next slide. And then the third part of it is the licensing. So to get started today is $100 for your application to get you coded into our system. And then you got to get that first license, which is the state of California license. The license and the fingerprints is about $225. But here's the thing, once you get licensed, you're going to be in the field training program with myself or one of our trainers. You write your first app. Our average app is about 3,000 points. You split that with your trainer. Boom, on a brand new training associate 25% contract, you're getting that upfront investment reimbursed right back to you on your first appointment, on your first app. Next slide. From there, I go right into the next step. So your next step is to complete that membership agreement that I talked about. That's that $100 investment to get started. And then what we've done, Yvonne Paul has actually done this in the interview PowerPoint, is she embedded the actual links to the AMA and the 52-hour course. So I don't have to like switch screens and toggle back and forth. I can just click on the link in the PowerPoint and the link will take me right to the AMA. So the AMA comes up on the screen and I fill in the AMA with the client right there, and then put in their credit card number and boom, submit, and they get their code number. And then the second thing we do is I click right into this link, which links to the 52-hour course. Boom, it pulls up on my screen. We get them enrolled in their 52-hour course. And then the third link is this link, which is a Google Doc that Yvonne created. And you click into that link and we get down their top 10 references in the Google Doc, and that gets emailed to me, and boom, I got their top 10 references. So now I'm ready to go, 3-way text message to those top 10 references. I schedule their next appointment, which is the fast start, and then I confirm their next orientation Zoom class tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Your first orientation by Zoom tomorrow morning at 9:30, and boom, we're off to the races. And so this is the top 10 references that we'll collect from a Google Doc to make sure that we have those top 10 references to send immediate 3-way text messages on. So here's the crazy thing, you guys. We used to do back in the day, we used to do 8-speed filters on paper, right? We used to have the 8-speed filter checklist, and we used to go through and write people's name down and check off where they were in the 8-speed filters. But now, next slide, now we do it on the BSC Pro. So once again, back to the BSC Pro, you've got to be making sure that you're tracking your people. See, it says, what? Get a kit, schedule an FNA. Did they do their interview? Did they do their hiring interview, their AMA? The 8-speed filters is now on the BSC Pro. So for the entire team, even for the entire hierarchy, I can go on here and I can see exactly where people are going through, and I can stay on top of making sure that people are getting through the 8-speed filters with speed and precision, which is what Ed Milet, which is what he always talked about. So I was talking to Dan today, and we're gonna have the founder and the creator of BSC Pro. She's gonna do a training for us. I know she was at our Wealth Bowl, but things have kind of changed since the Wealth Bowl, since we're so virtual now. So she's going to do a virtual Zoom training for us, for the Synergy team, on BSC Pro some point next week. I'll let you guys know what time, but super important that you utilize that component from start to finish in order to keep track of your business, your production, your speed filters, your guests, like everything is captured right there in the BSC Pro. So super important that we run the filters with speed and precision. So that's what I got. I know I went through it quickly, you guys, but you know, we're going to have this available for you guys to go ahead and review and get all the cool stuff that we've put together. And the neat thing is, when we come together like this and we train like this, there's so many things that so many people have such different strengths and gifts. And so we're able to kind of bring it all together and you know, together, like a rising tide lifts all boats. So together we can win by sharing what everybody's doing. So I appreciate that opportunity today. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, Nikki. That was awesome. So much information. We appreciate you so much. I just love those closing questions that you were going over there. That was awesome on the when you were right before you did the hiring interview. So I appreciate you so much. And I like those links that are embedded. Man, I need to see that that you guys are doing in your PowerPoint right to the AMA, because switching and toggling back and forth to sharing your screen, I know many of you know that that's kind of tricky sometimes. And then going right to the 52-hour course, that Google Doc to get their 10 references. Wow, man, let's talk about streamlining, you guys. That's why Nikki's where she's at. Thank you so much. The next person that we're going to be hearing from is going to go over step 5, the fast start. He's mastered this down to 20-25 minutes. So you're going to want to take massive notes right now. He's an SMD out of the Nathan Ireton and Precious team out of the Dream Givers, 6-figure earner. He has a beautiful wife, 2 kids with a wonderful family. And I'm excited to bring him up for you tonight. So please give it up for Joe Morales.
All right, how's it going? How's it going, everyone? Thank you for being on the call, and I just want to thank the leadership and thank everyone for being on the call. Amazing speakers, a lot of nuggets. I have pages and pages full of notes here, but I'm excited to share with you the fast start. But most importantly, today, the whole concept of the fast start is I want to teach you the mindset from a trainee. If you're brand new on this call, I'll be speaking to you as far as the training mindset and what you should be looking for if you're brand new right now in the business. And number 2, I'm going to talk about if you're a trainer, what the mindset is behind the fast start, especially with the virtual system. One thing that I realized about the fast start is that now than ever, it's super easy to speed up the process of recruiting. Super easy to get in front of people, super easy to jump on a Zoom, super easy to do things a lot faster. So it can literally be a fast start. But one of the things that I want you to understand about the fast start, and as a trainer, and as you come in, there's 2 careers that you could have in WFG, right? The reason why people come to WFG, the first reason is that we have a personal producing platform where we have flexibility, both for the agent and the consumer. So when you look at WFG, that's what you're gonna notice is that there's gonna be a lot of people when they first see our platform, it's like, oh my God, the WFG system is so amazing. We work with over 100 carriers. We do a lot of amazing things. We're so flexible. We're non-captive. We can work with a lot of companies, and that's very important. Number 2 is then there's people that come in and see the big picture. They're visionary. Kind of like a PowerPoint on the timeline. It says between 1946 and 1964, there were 78 million people born, and you capture the momentum and you follow where the financial industry is going and the money. Do you know that building an agency is the way to go? So what attracts people to WFG is we have a system that brings the community to us, right? We are in the warm market system. We don't have to cold call. We don't have to door knock. We don't have to stalk people at Walmart, at the parking lot. We don't have to do that because our system, the VFS and how we generate leads, it's kind of like if you earn a burger shop, right? And then you go buy a McDonald's, it's irrelevant. The reason I say that is because if you buy a burger shop, right, it does not have what McDonald's has, which is the franchise system. So what WFG has is we have the BFS and the 6 steps that we're going through right now. But most importantly, we got a system to get our agents, our new associates, to a fast start. Can I go to the next slide, please? And as I talk about the next slide here, when it comes to the fast start, we're gonna talk about the first wheel of the fast start is building an agency. But more importantly, it's the mindset. So the first person I want to talk to is the new associate on this call right now, right? There's 3 things that you can do with building an agency. If you want to be a person producer, great. We got a great system to do that. But if you want to make and have a system that you can leverage, you want to build an agency. There's 3 things that an agency gives you. The first one is big income. How many of you on this call would like to make big income? Number 2 is stable income. If you leverage the system right, you build an agency, you'll be able to create a system that is stable, kind of like what Shleiman said, where he couldn't work, but he had stability in his business because he built an agency. Number 3, it's a growing income, whether you work or not. If you leverage the system right, it's gonna grow. So one thing you gotta understand, if you're a new person on the team, if you're gonna build an agency, you have to understand the power leverage. See, if you go out on your own right now, you only have 24 hours in a day to help a family, right? That's it, 24 hours. But if you understand the compound effect, if it's you plus 10 agents, now you have 240 hours, right? Think about how many families work in impact, how many lives work in a change, right? If it's you plus 100 agents, you have 2,400 hours. Now people going out there in the field force, helping families, changing lives, doing amazing things. Let me ask you a question. Paul Getty said, you can have 1% of your effort, or you have 1% of 100 people. If you look at our first wheel, building an agency, it's bigger than just building an agency. It's bigger than just a wheel, right? It's a wheel that can create financial independence. The second thing I want to go over, if you're a leader, right? If you're a leader and you're doing these fast starts, you should be jumping in on all your MDs or people that are different. You should jump in and observe what they're actually doing. One thing that I realized about the fast start, that people are not really running a fast start, right? They're running a slow start. And the standards are very low. As an agent, if you want to become a great leader, you have to become a master of these 4 things. These are the 4 things that you got to be able to teach and equip your guys to think. And this is what you should be thinking about as well in a fast start. And if you're able to teach these 4 things, right, you're going to build an agency. The first one, your ability to make phone calls and teach someone how to make phone calls and schedule appointments. Number 2, you have to become good at the one-on-one presentation and enrolling someone to opportunity. If you're going to build an agency, you have to become great. Yeah, we have the great products. We're going to sell. That's inevitable. Our system is awesome, right? That's going to happen. But if you want to build an agency, you got to understand how to enroll people into the opportunity, right, from start to finish. Number 3, run an effective K2P and identify the need of the consumer and be able to move a financial instrument across the kitchen table, which is if it's a rollover, it's an IUL, it's a term product, whatever it is, you're going to be effective to identify, be effective, and move the instrument. Number 4, it's understanding how to take someone through the fast start, right? So as you're in the fast start, as the brand new associate, and we'll talk about the commitment here in a bit, there's 4 things you got to do, right? First is, in a fast start, you want to challenge them to get 117 within the first 7 days, meaning they get 1 new client, 1 new associate within the 7 days, 3-3-30, 10-10, or 25-25. Okay, that's important. Once you get their commitment, then you can talk about the professional field training process, right? And there's a lot of stuff here, but really quick, I want to go to the right, to the new associate mindset. If you're brand new in this business and you're an associate in this business, this is what you should be looking at when you're with your trainer. This is what you should be studying, right? The first one, you got to understand and master the psychology of the presentation, right? You got to master from start to finish, how is it being done? Why is it done that way, right? What's the flow of it? The second thing, you got to master the language, the flow, the presentation, and the one-on-one and the objections that your trainer is overcoming in the process. Not about the Rule 72, not about the, how awesome the IUL is. It's the language behind that. How are they getting to the point to where they're actually closing? Number 3, start making a case, you guys. If you're a new associate right now, listen to this call. When you're in the field with your leaders, I want you to start making a case in your mind that if you're in court, right, and you're in front of a jury, and you're a judge, and you got an opposing team trying to make a case why diligence is not the number 1 business opportunity, where you can actually write down and be effective, write down all the reasons why in the field WG is the number one business opportunity, one for the consumer and one for the client. That's huge. Now, if you're a new associate, number 4, very important, okay? If you want to build an agency and you want to master this, this is called the power of elastic time frame. A great fisherman, right, casts a big net, right? So as you go through the memory jog with your trainer, and I'll talk about here in a bit, you want to make sure you cast a big net, right? Most cases, when you sit down with new associates, they cast a little net like this big, right? But once you do the memory jogger, the net is this big, right? They got 100 names, and you'll be able to teach them the master of psychology on all the first steps that I talked about in the process of casting a big net. If they cast a little net, if you're a new associate and you're casting a little net, meaning that you're not booking appointments, you're not sitting down with the trainer, your training process here is going to go very slow. If you're if you're looking at this, if you're a leader, a couple things that I want you to think about. As you're field training, are you really field training to build someone, or are you field training just to sell and recruit? Big difference, right? So one thing that I started to do is I started looking at interdependence versus independence leadership in business. What's the difference? Interdependence, where you feel like people need you, right? Where you want to feel needed. You always need to be around, right? Independence leader is someone that has people become independent quickly from them. So as I'm training people, I have people on my fast starts. I got people on my one-on-ones. I got people on my KTPs. I got people on appointments that I'm doing, because my job is to keep them independent quickly, as efficiently as possible from me, right? So they can become effective and become a leader of men. Understand the compensation. One thing is, I'll tell you, if you're a brand new associate, one thing I tell you, you need to understand the comp. Because the more clearly you understand the comp, if you're a training associate, to go from associate to senior associate to SMD, and if you're a leader, understand the comp. Because as you cast this net, you guys, as you cast this net, you're going to find the leaders to your next quest, to your next vision as a team. So I'll give an example. And in December, right, I have my vision was come in to become EMD and CEO, right? But in order for me to do that, I need to understand the comp. What would it take? Who do I need to attract? What leaders, right? And what happened, I cast the vision, right? Boom, I get a guy from LPL, fully licensed, right? Has Series 6, 663, 65, 7, comes into WG, full-time, hung gold, boom. First 2 months, it's already, he made $32,000, right? That fires me up. And then in December, I cast another vision, right? I sent out a text. Hey, I'm looking for this guy, a black leader, older, sharp gentleman, fired up in the industry. Boom. Then Dimitri Peterson, which is a great prospector, he goes out, he shoots me a text, and hey, I found James Martin, right? It took me some time. James already licensed. He came from another company. Boom, now he's on board. Then I sent out another text message. Hey, I'm looking for a female, older, right, sharp, go-getter, businesswoman. Boom. Then here comes Monica Carter, right? It's like these are the players in the first quarter, and these guys are rocking and rolling. They're at 10-10, right? They're recruiting. They buy into the system. But it's the ability to cast a vision, right? Woo, fired up. Setting standards, right? Guys, so after you set standards, you want weak leadership or strong leadership, right? You want to work with the people that want strong leadership. And there's 3 things you got to pay attention to the whole time. Are they coachable? Are they credible? And are they committed to what they say? And they don't listen to those things, you guys, what you got to figure out really quick is you got to figure out who the top 10 is, and you got to find someone that is the rabbit between their business, right? As they start working and developing themselves in the process, but you want to find someone that has those 3 C's. You got to have a sense of urgency. If you're going to go through the field training process and you want to build an agency, man, people are too chill. Man, I don't know what this like this ago, man. For me, it's like, man, I'm fired up. 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 in the morning, it's already buzzing. Things are happening. We're on phone calls, Zoom meetings. Things are rocking, right? And the reason why you have to go fast in the field, you guys, in the 10 shooter point, because the quicker that you have this business go from the head to the heart, and you overcome those objections, and they're making a case why the WG is the number 1 platform in the industry, they can be sold out to the opportunity, right? If your guys don't feel like that after the appointments, there's a challenge. There's a challenge because you're not teaching them and you're not building them, right? How to associate. So one of the things that has really helped me is in this business is that I sit down and I fast start. I have my MDs or the people that are training, whoever that is, do a memory jog with all my guys, right? Because our job is to cast the big net out into the ocean. And then once we cast the big net, we're gonna catch the beautiful tuna, the beautiful salmon, whatever that is out in the ocean, but we're gonna have to cast a big net to happen. Don't be the leader that casts the net this big and you're gonna think you're gonna find the next tuna that's gonna be the next leader, if that makes sense, right? And then last thing, figure out what's the best way to contact your list. And they already went through that. But the faster you go on the 10 appointments, it doesn't take a whole month to do 10 appointments, you guys. Right now with the Zoom system, you can do a lot of things to make that happen in the next 3 to 5 days, right? Or 7 days. Look, you guys, the most important things, rule one, and rule two, the leader has control of that. The leader can really set up the pace for their business. But when you look at licensing and events, that's not our job. Our job is to build them a business and create a deadline for them to get licensed, right? Look, if you're brand new on this call, your license is not a PhD. Nobody's grading you if you get 100%, right? Get the license done. Right now, if you're at home, you're doing Zoom, it only takes literally like 10 days to get your license. If I was you, I'll get started. I will schedule my test because of the COVID-19 and there's limited spots. I'll have a sense of urgency because right now, a lot of you who are employed or not employed, but if you're employed, let me tell you something. Companies will be shifting when now they're looking at your liability or you bring value to the company. And if that happens, you want to be in a position where you got WFG to back you up, right? And then leaders have a system, have a welcome packet that they can follow that's efficient so you don't have to worry about that stuff. Have a staff, right? Lastly, on events, attend Zoom meetings, right? Attend Zoom meetings. Look at the schedule. Leaders will send that out. Look at whatever you need to get with your SMD. Attend Zoom meetings. See, people I see on Zoom, and I scroll down, people are relaxing, drinking water, on their pajamas. Man, you're taking this thing very too lightly, right? You gotta be fired up. This is only your life we're talking about, right? Get serious about the opportunity. Get serious about your life. Get serious about this business because this business will give you whatever you put into it, so don't take it lightly. Set standards, you guys. Figure out the availability of the new associate. Set some standards. Set your expectations. Are you the type of leader that has no standards, that people jump on Zoom whenever they want? They're late to everything. They're not accountable to you. Are you that type of leader? Is that the business that you actually want? Do you want to duplicate that? Or do you want high performance teams? Teams that are performing under pressure, right? A leader that understands how to take one person from A to Z, right, effectively. And communication on what it went to 10, I talked about that. Go over the importance of the meeting mentality, which is the VFS. Can I go to the next slide? And I'll wrap it up here. The next slide. And I'll end with this, you guys. I'll tell you something. Now than ever, if you're a new associate, if you're a leader, this is a time in the next 9 days. We thought about hitting 100K in a whole year or 6 months. Man, I'm thinking about this COVID-19. If you're getting a fast start and you're a new associate and you get the cycle, now you're 90 days away from hitting 100K. You're at 90 days from going from 100K to 250. You're 90 days from your business exploding, and you just get serious and tuned with all the specifics in this business, how to get to a fast start, take someone from A to Z and make a shift quickly. Leaders know how to shift quickly, right? And if you're not shifting quickly with the times, you get left behind because by the time you look up, Synergies can be paying out a lot more money than it is now, right? Instead of paying $1 million a month, we'll be paying $10 million a month because the leaders are focused, we engage, we want it, we want to get after it with the leadership of Dan Charlier and Sophia, with Paul Ayrton, Steve Haig, and other leaders. Nathan, my coach is Nathan and Precious. Man, we are fired up. I'm excited to be part of this team, this organization, and I know that we got the best team in all WFG. With our leadership, man, people better watch out because we're coming fast and hungry and motivated to succeed. Thank you guys. Follow me on Instagram. I'm excited. If you have any questions, just shoot me a message. Thank you.
All right. Woo! Thank you, Joe. Man, you know, they say 90% of winning is being excited, and Joe has mastered that. He was on fire. Thank you so much for all your information. I love the 4 wheels of your business and the mindset. Woo! I took massive notes. My paper is full. That was awesome. But I just love your energy and your enthusiasm and how much passion you have for the business right now more than ever. I've seen you speak a lot, and you're on fire. And I believe that you could do this in 90 days. Anybody can get to a 6-figure. Woo! Exciting stuff. So we're bringing in the heat. It's getting better and better. We have such a huge lineup still left to come. So make sure you stay on. Don't get up to go to the bathroom. Make sure you have a good pen, because we still have some speakers left to go, and you're going to want to make sure you listen and take great notes. So coming to us now, we have, she's going to be going over step 6. And this lady knows step 6 because she's duplicating herself. She's in business with her husband, Tate, and her awesome kids are in business too. Thank you so much. We love you all. And she's an SMD. She cash flowed over just about close to $100,000 in February, you guys, in 1 month, right before COVID. And she's going to probably get close to that again here soon in April and May. So I'm excited for her. She's intense too. So get ready. Let's give it up for Noelle Afalo.
All right, everybody, I'm just going to go ahead and get started because I am fired up. I mean, it's kind of hard to always follow Joe because he's so fired up, but that's great because it keeps my energy up. So let's just get started. We're gonna get this party started. I'm gonna go over duplication. And I love this quote, you guys. Good communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity. How many of you guys had business partners that were just lost all the time, or maybe you weren't clear on something or whatever? And that's something that we need to get excited about and talk about, right? So I'm gonna go over the 7 ways to duplicate yourself and build independent leaders. So this is perfect on building on what Joe just said. We wanna get you guys out in the field on your own so that we can build our team bigger. So we're gonna go through steps 1 through 7, leadership style, communication style, reading material versus audio. This is very important, you guys, because everything I'm going to be teaching you today is closely tied to what we're doing virtually online right now, okay? We want to get their 3 best friends to BPM, follow up after BPM, and set the interview. You've heard several leaders already talk about how important that is, so I'm just going to touch it on one more time. We're going to talk about field training, and then we're also going to talk about other types of training, which is social media, product training for my engineers, and admin training. Next slide. All right, we're gonna go over your leadership style, you guys. So next slide. What kind of leader are you? Are you a micromanager? Are you a handholder and coddle people and lower the standard? Or are you that do it first leader and pull people up with you, okay? When you're that type of leader, which is your bottom left, okay, this is how your team is gonna win, okay? I came from corporate America after 21 years, and when I first started in the business and I became full-time, it was really hard for me, you guys, because I'm used to being the boss and I'm used to people signing people's paychecks, and people always did what I asked them to do because I was the boss. You come here, you're not the boss. You have a team that everybody's on the same level and you gotta work together. Next slide. And now we're going to talk about communication skills, or style. This is kind of my forte. I did communication for 21 years. And I want to talk about what different kind of types of styles. You have to understand what type of style your trainee likes to do, because there's a whole different gamut, you guys. We got the ones who like to only text, right? You got the ones that like to do phone calls. Those are my older folks, right? You got the ones that just like to do, email and things like that. And then you also have the ones who just reach out to you via social media. It's very bizarre, you guys, because we're in different times right now, right? So you have to understand what type of communication your agents like to do, because that way you're gonna be able to communicate better, okay? Now, I really wanna talk about reading material versus audio-visual material. Why is that important? Because before we went into COVID-19, you guys, we did a lot of like physical stuff, right? They come into your office, you give them a packet, they have something tangible in their hands, right? But we're in the audio world now. We're all like a virtual world, I should say, rather, right? So the things that you still want to send them to read, which is fine, is the VFS, right? Either mail that book to them or give it to them online, right? The scripts, because they're going to need to know that, right? For my engineering technical people, they love product materials, and that's okay. You'd send them those or show them where to get it. And then one thing that you really want to encourage is self-development, right? These are 3 books. For those of you who are new and have never heard any of these books, these are the top 3 you should get right now, and start building your mindset. This is reading material that it's okay for you to send to them. Next slide. However, now we're in the virtual world, you guys, and there's so many things that are online that's going to make this business faster, quicker, bigger, better, right? It's like going from dial-up internet to high-speed internet. And those of you who are super young, you don't even know what the hell I'm talking about when I say dial-up. But for those of you who do, you get it, right? So there's all kinds of audio material, right? Those of you who remember, Ed Milet has audio files that we still give to our people, right? And we send that to them, just a link. I text a link to them and they get to listen to these top 3 when they first come into business with me. The WFG story, the welcome message, and the eye opener. And it talks about, and Ed made the audios, I want to say 20 years ago, you guys, and they're still relevant, right? So I'm sending those out. We have podcasts. Not only does Ed Milet have podcasts, but I like to listen to Tom Bilyeu and Andy Frisella, and if you want to get all that craziness out, right? And then there's Audible, which is an app where you can buy books on audio that you can listen to while you're getting ready or while you're driving when we get out of this COVID-19, right? And then we have the video side of this, right? We have all kinds of special BPMs that are now recorded, that if someone doesn't show up to the BPM, bam, you're sending that link out to the couples event. Maybe it's a couple you've been wanting to recruit, right? Or the military event. We have all these special events that we did when the COVID-19 first started, and they're all in a file. So if you don't have that file or know how to get access to it, drop it in the chat here and we'll get it to you guys, okay? Or we'll put it on the Synergy GroupMe. And then of course you have YouTube, you guys. When I first came into this business, I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week and doing this business on the side about 10 hours a week, okay? And what I did is I didn't have time to have my leader, Natalie Plant, I didn't have time for her to teach me everything. So what did I do? I taught myself on my breaks and on my drives and whatever, and I would use YouTube a lot. There's so many leaders in WFG right now that have YouTube videos up that you can access to teach yourself how to do the 3 tax boxes, how to close an IUL, how to do prospecting. There's all kinds of cool stuff on there, you guys, but you have to take the time to do it. You have to invest in yourself, and there's all different ways. So I don't want to hear anybody when people say, oh, so-and-so didn't teach me that. Well, you know what? You could teach yourself that. There's all kinds of cool stuff, and we'll teach you at the same time. Imagine how strong we could be together, right? But you got to have some skin in the game too. Next slide. Boop, boop, boop. Yes. Okay. So when I bring new people on board, I'll give you an example. This is a perfect example of being in the virtual world. When COVID-19 first started, we brought one direct on who was in the military, right? And then we drove that leg deep. Go ahead to the next slide. We drove that leg deep, right? 3 deep. And I have never met any of them. It was all through virtual, right? And so what did I do? When we first brought the first guy on, I said, hey, I want to know who your top 3 best friends are. Who are your ride or dies? Who are the people that you can call at 2 in the morning? They won't even ask a question. Or like, if you're my friend and you're my ride or die, I'm going to call you and say, hey, come pick me up at 2 in the morning. And they're going to say, hey, do I need to bring a shovel? That's the only question that they're going to ask me, right? So these are the people who you want to get in touch with right away, like right off the bat. And then you start driving that leg deep, right? Then you go from the top 3 to the top 10 to the top 25 to the top 100. So you basically go your ride or dies, then the hot market, warm market, and then cold, and try and get them all to BPM. Next. Okay, so how important is the follow-up? You've heard several leaders already to show you and tell you how important it is to follow up after the BPM. Yvonne, Nikki, everybody was saying what a great idea this is. Go ahead to the next slide. And how awesome it is, right? But here's what one of the things I wanted to touch base on that I haven't heard yet, you guys. When I'm inviting someone, or I'm telling my trainee to invite someone, right? I'm telling them, I need you to pre-frame them before they come on, right? I need you to tell them what their expectations are, right? Their expectations for them is make sure they get on early, because sometimes our meetings cap out at a certain number, right? I want them to come with an open mind. So I'm telling my trainee, this is what you need to tell your guests, okay? Come with, here are the expectations, come with an open mind, take some notes, right? And then right after the BPM, we're going to call a 3-way call with me, my trainee, and the guest, right? Within the first 15 to 20 minutes. Why do I say 15 to 20 minutes? I say that because what if I'm doing like 4 or 5 calls, right? I need each call to be like, a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes, but I want to have time to make sure I can do all of the 3-way calls, right? So make sure you guys do that. Now, what is the outcome of 3-way call? It's very simple, right? You either want them to have an immediate interview right right then and there, okay? We've done a lot of those. We want you to schedule an interview in the first 24 to 48 hours, okay? And then, or we want to set up a KTP, you know? But if we get them to come on board, we're doing both of those at the same time. Okay, so now I want to talk about training, you guys. And I know I'm going fast because I'm trying to catch us up a little bit here. The training, okay? The next slide, please. I don't know if there's some lag. Boop, boop, boop. Here we go. All right. So the learning is in the doing, right? We want to duplicate how good we are in our agents, right? And the only way you guys are going to get good at this, you guys, is to get out in the field. KTPs. Now, when I say out in the field, now we're talking about online. There's no excuses, right? So Dan and I were talking the other day and we were laughing about how, like, when people, I was telling them, I don't understand, when people try to reschedule on me, what the hell are they doing all day, right? Reschedule to do what? Go somewhere, go to a football game, you're at home, right? So let's not reschedule. So you guys got to get them out into the field on KTPs. You got to teach them how to do KTP 1 and KTP 2. Then you got to teach them the one-on-one, right? And the only way they're going to do that is having them sit in on your KTPs as trainees, right? I can't tell you how many times we put on our group meets, hey, I have a one-on-one today, I don't have a trainee, or hey, I have a KTP, I don't have a trainee. And then people volunteer, right? But you got to get your people out in the field as much as possible. Can we go back one more? Sorry, go back. I want to hit a couple more points. I know I told these gals to keep me on time, right? You guys got to do the fast start. The fast start is crucial, you guys. This is how you're going to get people to stick, and then you're going to be able to drive those legs, okay? These last three I want to talk about because we don't talk about this often enough, okay? What are the BPM roles? Right? When we go back to the offices, if you're trainees and they're brand new and they're not volunteering, you need to tell them on how to do stuff around the office, right? Because that's going to groom them to become senior associates, MDs, that are going to be running the show for you, right? So we need to teach them with BPM roles. Then we need to teach them how to do BPM classes. Because you ever notice, I don't know if in your office, but in our office, it's usually the same people over and over and over again, right? So we want to teach them how to do the BPM classes when they get good out in the field, okay? And then also when they get really good, now they're doing BPM 1 or BPM 2. Next. And there's some other social media, or there's some other training, you guys, with social media. I know Kim did a great job early on social media, but I want to talk about social media products and admin. Next. The first one I'm going to talk about is social media, you guys. There's a couple of things that you guys need to think about. Do's and don'ts, okay? Don't have your handle, your social media handle, be something like, you know, booty shorts 123. I just made that up. I don't know who that is, but I'm just saying, you see what I'm saying? You need to have it somewhat professional or memorable, right? Some of you guys might have a common name, so maybe you want to make it something memorable, right? You want to make sure you hit all the popular platforms. The top 3 are Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, okay? There's a whole bunch of other ones, Snapchat, all these other things going on, but those are the top 3, and I'm telling you guys, remember, I want you to write this down. Y'all are sleeping on Facebook, right? Facebook seems to be the old people's kind of thing, but it's really not, because it has a share button and you can reach a wider net of people if you're using Facebook. I know a lot of you younger folks are on Twitter mainly, right? But it's saturated, right? I'm telling you, hop on Facebook and you're going to watch your business change and your prospects change, okay? You want to link all your platforms together so you're only posting on one platform, you guys. You post, if I post on Instagram, it's hitting it all, my Facebook and my Twitter, okay? So make sure that you link all your platforms. And then fourth, on the social media, you guys, you want to make sure that you're, not make sure, but it's easier, right? Once you start getting super busy, schedule them. There's all kinds of apps out there, you guys, that you can schedule them. So I schedule my stuff on Sundays. I'm not very, always good about it, but I schedule my posts on Sundays on different times. So 8 in the morning, 12 in the afternoon, and 6 p.m. every evening. Those are the top 3 times of the day that you want to post your stuff, because you're going to get the most views and the most impressions. Okay. And then on the product side, teach your guys and gals how to get on my WFG and how to look this stuff up themselves and teach themselves. And then you augment what they're already learning. Okay. And then that's with the product providers and all that good stuff too. And then lastly, you guys, is admin, right? It's hard to understand unless you're actually doing this, but you need to maybe have them sit in on some of your calls to admin, or have them sit with your assistant, right? When I was a senior associate, you guys, I already hired an assistant. I couldn't do it. I hate paperwork. I hate doing follow-up calls. I just want to go out and make the relationships and make money. That's all I want to do. That's what I'm really good at. So if you're like me, Don't worry about how you're going to pay your admin. That's going to make you work and hustle harder. Okay. So you want to teach them how to do follow up on the calls and on the providers, right? And then you want to make sure that you instill in them on how important it is to get an assistant. And once you get an assistant, hopefully they're a world-class assistant. And if they're not, maybe they'll grow into that. And if they're not, kick them to the curb and go get you one. Okay. And the last slide, you guys, these are, I believe it's these are my social media handles. As you can see, the middle one is the first Noel. There was, for some reason, there's a lot of Noels out there. But my Twitter has 3 E's because someone else already took the handle that I wanted. So this is what I'm talking about, you guys. Have a professional name or something that's memorable, that's still professional. Okay, and if you guys need anything, you guys know where to go and find me or hit me up on a group me, and I'm here for you guys. Thank you so much.
All right, awesome, man. Noelle, that was packed out. I love all 7 of them. I think I need that PowerPoint. This was awesome, and I love it. 7 ways to duplicate yourself and build independent leaders. And she hit it on the head in every single area there. Before we move on to the next person, I wanted just to give a special shout out to our behind the scenes team. Let's give it up. You guys can set in the chat. I know probably some of you have already been doing that, but let's give it up for Alyssa and for Dason. They are keeping me on track. They're keeping all the speakers on track. And I believe we're doing an amazing job for our first virtual format system. So let's give them a hand. Yes, woo-woo. And I'm fired up for you guys. I'm proud to be your MC and helping with all of you leaders. But we're coming on the home stretch here. So you got 1 hour left to no interruptions and no restroom breaks. So this is going to be awesome. So we started out at 3 o'clock with Christopher on how to leverage the system. And now we're going to learn how to leverage your trainer. So we went through all the business format system, and now we're going to go on how to leverage your trainer. So this person is a $500,000 earner. He's got a wonderful wife and 2 adorable kids. He's actually one of my personal mentors in my business. I'm direct to this person, so you probably know who it is by now. I'm honored not only to be on his team, but to have him as my brother. He's a master of the system, and I'm excited for him to go over how to leverage your trainer. So let's give it up for my brother, Steve Haig.
I am still muted. Now I'm not. Welcome. Thank you, Lauren. That's my amazing sister. I'm so proud of you for stepping up and being a driving force for the hierarchy, for the team, and just all the great speakers that we had here today. And this right here, in my opinion, is a historic moment. You guys, all of us are part of something that is gigantic, and understand that the leadership with Dan and Sophia and all of the field cabinet and field advisory board, like we've put this together to help all of us scale and grow our business at a faster pace and to resonate and have a bigger outreach. And it's an amazing part of history within Synergy Financial. And I remember back in 1998 when I met with Dan for the first time, I didn't realize that I was going to meet the gentleman that was going to change not only my life, but our family's life, and for many other teammates' lives as well. So Dan, I'm always honored and grateful to be by your side as we work together to drive this to levels we've never experienced. And I really believe that those of you that stay effectively focused right now and you master the material that we went over today, literally have the ability to scale a 7, an 8-figure business if you put down and you concentrate and focus your energy on the right things. So let's jump into my presentation. And Alyssa, thank you for doing the slides for me today. But ultimately, how to leverage your trainer. There comes a point in your career, especially for a brand new person, where if you know how to leverage your trainer, you are able to get a lot of results and a lot of traction. And there's a mindset behind that. And so if we go to the next slide here, some of the fundamentals that I wanted to come over and share with you is, number one, you must become a student. I believe that to become independent, you have to allow yourself to be open to being a student. And when you become a student, that means that you are proactive. You're taking notes during all times. The person, in my opinion, that takes the most notes and literally reviews their notes and then places it into action is going to have the greatest success. On top of that, the roles of the trainer and the trainee, the trainer puts you in a position so that you just need to make a connection and you need to build up and edify, and I'm going to go through that. But if you do proper edification and you lift up your trainer and you just make a connection, get somebody with them, it's going to put you in a position where you can drive to the next level. So you got to prioritize your life, study and practice, drill, rehearse. There is no substitute. And in my opinion, you need to become a master at the language of what to say and how to say it to get effective results. And if you know how to attend properly these virtual one-on-ones, all of the BPMs, the one-on-one client appointments, which is the kitchen table presentation, and master how to do a fast start, that's really where the keys are, those 5 areas. And then, of course, having the self-discipline to manage your time and practice. Really, that's the key. So, Alyssa, we'll go to the next slide. Thank you. So here, this is so important. Live appointments are key. In my opinion, there's 2 types of people. There's professional meeting attenders that attend our virtual meetings with consistency, and they got really good at doing that, but they don't take any action between the virtual meetings that we have. Then you have somebody that's actually getting traction in their business, and they're taking the right steps to connect the right person and leverage their leadership so that they're an hour in the field on a live appointment. In my opinion, you're learning, you're getting results, versus 10 hours of virtual trainings. You're only learning and you're not getting results. So if you want to get results, you must, after this call, connect with your trainer. Go, hey, I need to set up a time with you because I got to get on the phone. I have some people we need to connect with. We need to start setting some live appointments with these people. And if you allow your trainer to work with you on that, that's where you're going to get the big results. And so remember, when you start in business, all of us, including myself, we are all fortunate to have had a trainer, a mentor, somebody who's going to invest the time to develop us. But that's only going to exist for a certain period of time. You see, there's going to come a time after maybe 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 appointments that your trainer is going to randomly put you on the spot. And I remember this with Amber, who's relatively new on the team. I told her that, and recently, a few weeks ago, I said, all right, this next appointment, you're running it. And I'm just going to, observe, and I'll jump in on occasion. But she did amazing because she prepared, she practiced. But you need to know it's important to take copious notes and study how your trainer does a one-on-one. Study how they do an interview. Study how they do a kitchen table and a fast start. And be ready, because the day will come where the baton is passed to you, and you got to be ready to take action. So after each appointment, make sure that you do a quick phone call or a quick Zoom with your trainer to debrief. And that way you can prepare what to go over for the next one, because you never know when it's going to be your turn to take the lead. The greatest gift, if you look at this picture here, there's a father and a son. And what's amazing is the father's not the only one with the fish pole. You see, the father has taught the son how to fish. So the role of the trainer is not to give you a fish, but to teach you how to fish, how to become independent and effective. And so, like, at the end of the day, do you want to have a business built where you have 50 people in your team and they all rely on you? Or do you want to have a business built with 50 people that you know you can rely on? And the only way to do that is to transfer and teach people how to get results independently. Teach them how to fish, and then they will teach other people how to fish. Next slide, please. And then here we have mastering the skill set of proper edification. So if you look at edification, it's an act of edifying. And when I came in business, I had no idea what this word really meant. Ed Milet had to explain it to me like 3 times, and then the light bulb finally went on. But basically, it's a state of being edified. And if you go down to where I highlight, it says building up of the soul. So this is where you edify, you lift up, you literally lift up your trainer so that, number one, the person that you're connecting with your trainer, there's a tremendous amount of value. They respect their time. They're looking up to them. They're not going to ask them stupid questions. They're not going to kind of just blow them off. They're going to make an appointment and stick to it. And I'm going to give you an example of that on the next slide here. And so what this shows us here is if you master proper edification, this will give you leverage. Now, I'd recommend you take a screenshot of this. These are just some examples of what you can put in as far as the context of your language when you're edifying, but let them know that you believe in your trainer. You need to transfer that energy. So for me, when I would book an appointment, before I was licensed, Dan Charlier, I would say, look, I want to let you know, Dan's an amazing person. He's somebody that has taught me so much. I look up to him tremendously. And it's very important to me that if we set this appointment in Dan's schedule, that we keep it. because a lot of people look to him. He's a highly regarded individual. He's a person of faith. You know, he's married, he's a family person, he's grounded, but he has a big vision and has made a big difference in many families. And so many people look up to Dan, and he's very selective with who he associates with. And I'm confident when we meet with Dan that you're going to be thoroughly impressed with him and you'll have a great connection. I mean, that's just the type of person that he is. His time is valuable. He's very knowledgeable. He's helped out many people. I mean, he's an absolute expert with what we do. He has a tremendous amount of experience in the business world, and he has an extraordinary client base. I mean, he works with a lot of clients, but really what I love about him, and the reason why he's so sought after, is he has had a tremendous impact in many people's lives. So I want to make sure that when we get a chance to meet with Dan, that you don't reschedule or show up late, because frankly, that's going to embarrass me, and I don't know if we'll be able to get back in Dan's schedule. So if you look at this picture here visually, you're the blue. That's you, the new person. Your prospect is the green person, and your trainer is the expert. So what you do between you and your trainer is you must edify your trainer, and you've got your trust with the person that you know. That's your prospect. And so what happens is when you properly edify the trainer to your prospect, there is a layer of respect that is built, a layer of almost like when somebody looks up to them, a label, that kind of respect. And so I always express my gratitude towards my mentor, towards Dan, towards Ed. I always express my gratitude towards the key leaders in our team, like the Ireton family, like Jeff, like Tita, like Jean and Francis, like my mom. I always want to make sure that other people know that I express my gratitude, because that's important. Because without us as a team and without us as leadership, all of us would not be where we are right now. And so that's very important. So the next slide here, I'm going to give you a couple examples. Take a picture of this, and I'm going to end up right on time. So here's an example of what you want to do when you edify your trainer. And this is how you leverage your leadership. And if you can get good at this through practice and memorize it, where you go from the awkward phase where you don't know how to say it, and you say it enough times, it's like a music song. Once you listen to that music song a few times, you can actually sing the lyrics along with the song. And so you need to get to a point where you're natural and you can sing the lyrics of proper edification. So this is an example here. If I'm meeting with Jim and Jessica, I'm the trainee. Nathan Ireton is the trainer. I say, Jim and Jessica, this could be on a Zoom. You know, before we get started, I just want to take a quick second and properly introduce Nathan. Nathan has been in business for many years. He has an extensive background in the financial services industry. And a few months ago, he was actually able to sit down with my wife and I and show us concepts that we had never seen before. And as a result, Nathan was able to help us reduce our debt, reduce our cost of insurance, reduce our tax exposure. He was able to teach us how to save more money and secure our future. And now we're on track to retire much sooner than we ever anticipated. You know, Nathan is highly regarded in the industry. He has many clients throughout the community. He's in charge of developing multiple offices throughout this region. And now virtually online, he's touching many lives. So Nathan, I just want to let you know, from my heart to yours, it means a lot to me that you were able to take time out of your busy schedule to share this information with my friends, Jim and Jessica. And Jim and Jessica, I just want to let you know, I'm confident that you'll be thoroughly impressed with everything that Nathan is about to share with you tonight. So thanks again, Nathan. I'll turn it over to you. And that is so key right there. That's how you leverage leadership. Here's an example of how to pre-frame a brief call. So take a screenshot or a picture of this. So I could call up John, maybe he's a buddy of mine, and I say, hey, how are you and your family doing? Brief small talk, how are the kids? Hey, are you working from home right now, or are you actually going into work? He goes, yeah, I'm working from home. And then I'm gonna say, listen, I wanted to reach out to you because I recently met with an amazing person named Nathan, and he's been able to share some concepts with me that I've never heard of before. And literally I was like blown away. And Nathan is currently expanding his business operations. And during this pandemic and all the things going on in the world, you know, he's had some good success working with people from your specific background. And the reason why I'm reaching out to you is because I wanted to see if you'd be open to a brief conversation with Nate. I'm confident, you know, when you get a chance to meet Nate, he's just a great person. I know you guys will have a great connection. He's a person of faith. He's highly regarded in our industry. Many people look up to him. And I want you real quick to check your schedule, because I want you to look at a couple different times that you're free. I want to set up a time to give you a chance to connect with Nate, and I'll join you in. He does these Zoom calls, and I'll be there. But I just want you to look at your schedule. Let me know which day is best. I know he's open Tuesday or maybe on Thursday. Which day would be best? So I want to make sure I lock in an appointment through edification. That's how I can leverage my leadership. So when Nate's doing these appointments, I'm taking notes. I'm being engaged. I watch him do 3, 4, or 5 of those one-on-ones. All of a sudden, on the 6th one, Nate goes, all right, Steve, it's your turn. You've got the reins. You've seen me do it 6 times. I know you've been practicing. You're going to run this appointment, and I'll jump in if you need me. But I want to let you know it's game time for you. This is where you're going to grow, brother. This is not my time to give you a fish. You are now learning how to fish. And so that's very important. And the last example here as we wrap up is edification before a one-on-one appointment. So again, we locked in that 3-way call or that Zoom, and I'm just going to take a second and I'm going to interrupt right in the beginning. The trainee needs to say, look, you know, Jim and Sally, I just want to let you know, before Nate starts, I just want to take a minute to properly introduce Nate. He's somebody who's had tremendous success working with entrepreneurs and business-minded people. He's developed multiple offices. He's highly regarded in our community. And what I admire about him, one of the most that I admire about him is that he's always very respectful, trustworthy, you know, and he has a big vision. And it's rare that you meet somebody like this. And so when I was talking with Nathan, he asked me who I know that has strong values, strong work ethic, someone who's looking to increase their income. And I thought of you, and that's why I wanted to bring us together. And so basically, you know, I'm confident that when you get a chance to chat with him right now, you'll be very impressed. And if he ever gives you a chance maybe to meet down the road or reconnect with him on another appointment, you know, many people try and get in his schedule. And so I would not miss that chance to explore things further with him. He's a great person. He's somebody who's worth building an association with. And so I look forward to connecting today. And again, Nate, I'll turn it over to you. So you don't need to say it verbatim. What you need to say is what comes from your heart. I just gave you some examples of some key phraseology, some nuggets that you can use in your vocabulary to use proper edification. And I believe that the people that know how to effectively take action through edification and that attend all of the VPMs and are consistent and are a student of the business and that drive it through action, that those are the next giants in our company. Those are the next people that are going to change thousands and tens of thousands of lives. And so I'm hoping there's a few of you on this Zoom with me today that make a decision when you're done here that you're going to step up your game a little bit. You're going to get a little bit more intense, a little bit more focused, and get great at what we do. And I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to you and to all of us raising up to the next level. I mean, this is literally an 8-figure business, and we are going to prove that over the next decade here. We will have many people making eight plus figures in income. And I encourage all of us to work together and drive it forward. So I'm going to turn it back to my sister. Thank you, everybody. I'm excited to take some notes for the next speaker. And thank you, everybody, for attending today.
All right. Awesome job, Steve. Thank you so much. So fun to not only see you grow in the business, but I learned so much from you constantly. And I'm sure the team does too. And I just love how you went over mainly really diving in deep to the edification process and how to say it and why to say it and what it all means back and forth. So I love that. Thank you so much for all those nuggets. So I wanted to share with you guys some stuff before we get started on our closing speaker today. But before I do that, I want to personally thank Natalie and Pavi for being there for me throughout all this. We've been communicating pretty much throughout the whole afternoon. And also Natalie and I have been texting so much. It's just been awesome. You know, we're all in different homes and we're staying on track on time. We are 1 minute ahead. And that's because you got an awesome leadership team, you guys. You should be proud of the Synergy team. I just want to thank all of you for all your help and support today. And we've all learned steps 1 through 6. We've learned how to leverage the system, how to leverage your trainer. And many of you wish you had some teammates that made it on the Zoom. Maybe they tried to get on before when we had a little technical glitch and they maybe didn't jump back on. But what I want to let you guys know is the good news is, if you've seen in the top left, this has been recorded the entire afternoon. So you guys got it firsthand. Live training is always the best training, but next best, you can have it on record and Zoom for people that couldn't make it, or maybe some people that had to work still in their full-time job. So here's how you're gonna get access to it. You are gonna get access to this link, which is coming right up. Hold on one moment, it's coming up here. You're gonna get access to a link here, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna wanna subscribe to the link, and then go into the link and click on the videos, and you can actually subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's a private YouTube channel. Here we go. You're amazing. Here we go. Boom. There it is. bit.ly/, capital S, the word synergy, capital Z with the word Zooms, plural. Make sure you do the capital letters. It is case sensitive. If you haven't figured that out in these last 30 days, the bit.lys are case sensitive for registration and for things like this. So Alyssa made this. This is awesome. And you're going to want to go to this link. You're going to get all the BPMs, all the everything that's on YouTube you can send to your clients. It's amazing. And I'm fired up to close out our final speaker for our virtual, and there's the email as well. Thank you so much, Alyssa, for doing that. And she's going to make sure that you get everything that you need through those 2 links. For our final speaker of our virtual format system, we have our Senior Executive Vice Chairman. He's actually on his race right now. We are as a race as a team to get to SEVC2. We are so grateful for your leadership, Dan, along with your wonderful wife, Sophia, and your beautiful family. We know how much you love the team. We can't wait to hear from you. Let's give it up for Dan Charlet to bring us home tonight. Thank you, Dan.
All right, Lauren, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. First of all, I want to say, you know, a couple weeks ago, I was on the phone with Paul Ireton, and Paul Ireton is actually the one that actually came up with this idea. Big Paul said to me, he said, Charlier, you know what we should do? We should do a boot camp, right? And I started thinking about that, and we planned out this, and Marlette and I were talking, and Marlette was talking about, you know, taking our platform virtually. And I had something in my mouth. I don't know what it was. I'm trying to get used to. I got a laptop here and I got a TV here. So I don't know whether I should be looking up here or I should be looking down here. You guys like that? Yeah, there we go. See how cool that is? And Marlette was talking about, you know, taking the business virtually. And we were talking about the system with the 6 steps with prospecting, the approach and contact, presentation, follow-up, the startup and the duplication process, and really taking that to a platform where we can actually utilize that and give everybody a track to run on when it comes to implementing our system currently right now and the conditions that we are right now, which I think is going to totally change the model in a very, very positive way, because almost on a weekly basis, we're seeing the team. You know, I was talking to Schleiman this morning, and he was talking about all the momentum that his hierarchy is getting and all the agents are getting and helping families and all of that stuff. We've got so much momentum as a team. So first of all, I want to recognize all the speakers. I think everyone did an awesome job. You know, what was great is that on Monday when we announced the virtual format system, and Natalie Plant has been working tirelessly to get this thing organized. And I sent out a message to all the leaders, and I said, all of you that are speaking on Friday, I want you to meet with me via Zoom, and I want you to take me through your entire presentation. So congratulations to all the leaders. I mean, you guys delivered. I think if you watched the chat, everyone was really excited. Everyone was really excited about the value that they were getting. And what I like the most in listening to you guys is that all the information you gave to the team is information that's relative to today's conditions right now, where we're arming you. Like if you're getting ready to go to war, we're making sure 1, you got a weapon, 2, you got some bullets, 3, you know how to fire that weapon. That weapon operates well. So that was an awesome job. I'm telling you, I'm just like, each one of you, I'm sitting here watching you guys, and to be honest with you, I'm thinking to myself, man, these guys are so good. I mean, like you watch Nikki Cannon, you watch Noel, you watch Lauren, and you watch, you know, all the leaders, Joe Morales. Joe Morales was so fired up. I thought he was going to come through the screen. He was so fired up at the meeting, right? At the Zoom meeting. And we watched so many people attend these Zoom BPMs. And I think about how we continuously create value for you guys, right? So first of all, great job. I'm not going to talk for 20 minutes. I'm just going to talk to you guys for a few minutes. And then I have a different message that I'll give you guys on Monday morning at our full-timers meeting from 9 to 10:30. You want to mobilize. You want to make sure you mobilize your team, right? Last night, I was at a friend's house that lives about 3 miles from here, and we got together for a cigar like at 10 o'clock at night last night. And I was with a buddy. He's currently an investor. He's in his 60s. He's an investor, and he owns a bunch of real estate in Arizona and some real estate in Beverly Hills. And we were talking, and he had his business partner with him, and the entire time that they were talking about banks and loans and people paying rent and how they gonna get money from the government and all of this stuff. And his partner said, while we were sitting there, his partner said, he said, well, my goal, he's like, Charlier, my big goal, man, the next 2 years, I want to have 200 doors, right? And 200 doors, meaning that he wants to have enough property where he's got 200 apartments where people are paying rent, right? He said, and I sat there and I said, man, that's awesome. I said, where are you at right now? He said, I'm a quarter away there. I've got a couple of apartment buildings, but I want to have 200 doors, right? And I was thinking about that this morning in my meditation. I was thinking about what he said and their business model and what they deal with. And he said one thing to my buddy. He said, hey, man, save all the cash that you have now, because 6 months from now, there's going to be a lot of opportunity that's going to present itself, and it's going to be a fire sale out there when it comes to real estate, right? And I was thinking about how leaders in every category that are winning, right? So there's two types of people right now. There are always people in every condition that are winning, and there are people that are losing. And losers have a loser's profile, and the winners have a winner's profile. So what you're seeing with all these leaders are creating the tools that they need to do in order to win in this current time that we have right now. So there are some people right now. They're watching TV. They're not paying attention to their language. They're negative. They're not doing anything to drive their business, right? Like my kids. Like an example, my 12-year-old yesterday, right? And I said to him, I said, Danny, what are you doing today? What are you doing today? And what are you doing right now to create an income? Right? And he's 12 years old, right? And he looked at me, I said, Danny, how much money have you made today? Right? And he looked at me, he was just like, well, Dad. I said, well, Danny, I said, before you answer me, I want you to think about this, right? I want you to talk to a couple of people and ask them, what do you need to do to make money right now? Because you're stuck at home. So he called his brother, he called Justin, and Justin said, you know what, Danny? You can cut the grass, you can clean up the backyard, you can clean up the front, blah, 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 and all of this stuff. And you can negotiate a cost for you with Dad, and he'll probably give you some money for it and all this stuff. I was talking to Shlayman. Shlayman and I were on FaceTime. And Shlayman heard me talking to him. Shlayman was like, man, Danny, when I was 12 years old, when I was 13 years old, I was already cutting grass. I was doing this, I was doing that, and all this stuff, right? So I said to Danny, well, what do you like to do, right? He loves technology. And I said to him, I said, Danny, why don't you figure out a need that's in the house right now, right? A need that's in the house, and you fulfill that need, and money has to come. So he looks at me, he says, well, Dad, what do you need, right? So we go to my office. I said, you know what I need right now, Danny? I need this whole thing set up, right? I'm doing these Zoom appointments, right? I need a computer set up. I need the TV. He says to me, so Dad, what's your vision, right? And I said, well, my vision is I want to be able to sit in this chair. I want to be able to talk to the team. I want to be able to see everything on the TV and all of this stuff. And then he says to me, he says, well, Dad, if that happened, how would you feel? I said, man, it would be awesome because I could sit in one place and I could do all my meetings and all this stuff. He says, okay, Dad, well, if that could happen, Dad, what's that worth to you? I said, I don't know, like $100. He said, okay. She said, so Dad, so if I can make all of that happen, will you give me $100? I said, absolutely. Right? This is my 12-year-old, right? And all of a sudden, he goes to work, and then now, You know, we got everything done, and he made $100. So now in his mind, he's constantly thinking about the things that he can do. And I said to him, I said, Danny, I got a feeling you're going to be one of these kids. I made up a line called Kidzionaire. I don't even know if that makes sense, right? Kidzionaire. And I said to him, I said, I got a feeling you're going to figure out a problem, a solution that you need to fix that people are having. And you're going to create a solution for that. And you're going to get a lot of people are going to give you money. If you can make $1, you can make $1 million, right? So I wanted him to start to think, right? So I want you to think about this, right? What is it that you're trying to build right now, right? What is it that you're trying to build? So as Joe is talking about an agency, as my buddies last night were talking about how many doors they're going to have, you got to ask yourself in WFG, as great as our system is, right? As great as our system is, as great as our products are, right? There's only one, right? There's only one of you. So what's your vision? What is it that you're thinking about? What is it that you're thinking about right now as a Synergy team, right? Licensed and appointed agents that are currently with us. We have 2,000 licensed agents as a team, right? 2,000 licensed agents as a team. What would our team look like if we had 4,000 licensed agents? What would our team look like if we had 8,000 licensed agents? What would our team look like if we had 10,000 licensed agents, right? So I want you to think about that. Let's scale that down to you. What is your vision right now? When are you going to get 10 licensed agents? When are you going to get 20 licensed agents? How many people did you have on this Zoom appointment today? Did you have 12 people? Did you have 20 people? Did you have 30 people? Did you have 50 people? Did you have 100 people? So you got to have a vision as a leader that this organization, all this work. So you got to get past making money and paying bills, right? Now you got to get there. You could do that with your own pen. You could pay your bills and fund your investments with your own pen, right? But then I want you to start to think about, like what I want Noel and Tate to think about, when are you going to have 100 licenses in your base shop, right? When are you going to have 50 licenses in your base shop? When are you going to have 20 licenses in your base shop? See, the outcome of the virtual format system is to do two things. One is to produce an outlet. So all the stuff that we talked about today, what is it that you're trying to produce? You want to produce an outlet. So what is an outlet? An outlet is a licensed agent, right? Is a licensed agent that can produce a result across the kitchen table without me. You guys follow me on that? So one thing that Steve Hagen and I, when we were talking about today, when Steve Hagen were talking about leverage, I said, Steve, you know, when you're recruiting someone and you're field training someone, there's got to be a vision. How fast can that person operate independently of me? I want them to not need me as fast as possible, because only then that they become an outlet, right? So that's one. So you got to develop some outlets. There's got to be a vision, right? Two is you got to have some outlet openers. What are some outlet openers? You got a chance to see them today. Nikki Cannon is an outlet opener, which means that she's a broker. She runs her own office. She runs her own organization. She does her own BPMs, right? She runs her own organization, her own team. And Schleiman overrides that organization 17.5%, right? So my buddies last night, their whole thing about is taking money that they have, leveraging those money, buying assets, which are buildings. People in those buildings pay rent, right? Pays for the property, they own the property, and they get a spread on that, and they get an income from that, right? So how does that relate to WFG? Well, what we're doing is leveraging people, right? So if it's only you, you don't have any leverage. But if you got 10 people, now you got some leverage. If you got 100 people on your team, now you got some leverage. Well, what about if you had 1,000 people on your team? What about if you had 2,000 people on your team? See, once you understand the big picture of what it is that you're trying to do, see, the beauty with us is that we have a system that allows you to do that, right? We had all these talented people on this virtual format system today, right? All talented. As I'm sitting there, I'm going, oh my God, oh my God. God, if they only knew how good they were. I would put you guys up against anybody. I just got off the phone with Fumbo, right? Fumbo just got started. Fumbo and Linda just got off the phone with them. They just got their 8th diamond, right? Their 8th diamond. They've been in WFG for 3 years, right? 3 years they've been in WFG. Their first year, they was just playing part-time. Made $50,000 his first year. Then when he saw the capacity of what this could do, they immersed themselves in the business. They said, Charlier, when I made my first 50,000, I realized that I can go slow in this thing or I can go really, really fast in this thing. Because I realized that my job, that what I had and my degrees that my wife and I had, that wasn't going to allow me to achieve my dream. It wasn't going to allow us to achieve our dream. So the only thing that we did is we decided to really focus and immerse ourselves in the business. 3 years in business, they're already making $800,000 a year. Now, here, I want you to listen to me on this, right? As we do this power sweep, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, there's some leaders right now that's really engaged in recruiting. There's some leaders right now, and I talked to you guys on the phone, you got a recruiting strike going on right now, right? Which means that you're not driving invitation to your machine, right? Which means if you're not driving invitations to your machine, well, guess what? You probably don't have a vision of what it is that you're trying to do. If your goal is, hey, I got to get to 100 licensed agents, well, how are you going to get to 100 licensed agents if you're not focused on recruiting, right? So a lot of times I ask people, hey, where are you at for the month, right? And as soon as I ask them where they're at for the month, the first thing that they start to tell me is their points. Oh, I'm at 4,000 points. I've got 15,000 points. Here's what I know. If they answer me like that, what I know is this. Their most dominating thought is production. Their most dominating thought is production. They're just thinking about making money. See, they don't link recruiting to making money because they don't understand the art of recruiting and real leverage and override income and building and developing people. They look at it as that I don't want to babysit. I'm tired of people. I recruited a couple people, they're not here anymore. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Then you're going to be 100% of your income. You're always going to be in a position where 100% of your income comes from you, right? So you think about right now, the people that are self-employed. Would you want to be a doctor right now? Would you want to be a surgeon right now? Would you want to be a real estate agent right now? Geez Louise, they have no leverage at all, right? So if you understand that now, this is a time now where you got to see, we've got an open window right now to really floor it. And you guys, as you're listening to me right now, you got a real open window right now. There's a lot of people that are disturbed right now. They're looking for an opportunity right now. See, the person that they got to meet the best version of you, right? In every conversation, someone's closing someone, right? So you got to grow your conviction about what it is that you're doing. People don't have to believe. They don't have to believe what you're saying, but they got to believe that you believe. See, you got to sell yourself the dream the most. You got to get fired up and excited. And now you're enrolling people into a vision versus getting a membership agreement from someone, right? See, great leaders have the ability to create a vision, enroll people into that vision, and learn how to delegate and challenge those people and identify the top 20 percenters and spend 80% of your time with the top 20 percenters, and everyone else gets you in the general format, right? So what are you excited about right now? Are you excited about your opportunity right now? Right? I was talking to Rachel. I was talking to Rachel O'Connell yesterday, right? She was so fired. She was so fired up. She just got a check for like $33,000, right? And she was telling me what she did. She called the client and she would tell me the whole process and all of this stuff, right? Imagine if you had 50 Rachels on your team right now. Imagine if you had 50 Noels on your team right now. Imagine what would your team look like if you had a Christopher Schleman on your team. What would your team look like if you had a Nikki Cannon on your team, right? What would your team feel like if you had a Steve Haig, if you had a Paul Ireton, if you had a Nate Ireton? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? That would be like having a dream team, right? So here's the deal, you guys. It's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen if you don't start to dream and you don't start to think about the possibility of you having a team. See, one of the things that we talk about in the business format system is this: build leaders and teams will come. Build leaders and teams will come. All of you that are listening to me right now, you got a chance to see some amazing leaders. Preparation, providing tremendous value. They're leading from the front. They're kicking butt, taking names, and all of that stuff, right? Here's the only thing. You got to start recruiting, right? Now, imagine bringing a couple of hundred people through your organization through Zoom, and they're meeting this version of you right now. You're the best in the business right now that you've ever been before. The best in the business right now that you've ever been before. We've got a tremendous amount of momentum right now, but here's the other side of it. The other side of it is this. You guys, don't fall asleep on the switch. You can get left behind. I've seen a lot of people get left behind. I've seen a lot of people, you know, in 2008, Paul Ireton will tell you about this. Nate Ireton will tell you about this. Miriam Ireton will tell you about this. Jeff Brookshire will tell you. Steve Haig will tell you. Nathan Ireton will tell you. Christopher Schleman will tell you. Louise Haig will tell you. Dr. Howard Q would tell you, because all of them were there. See, in 2008, when we were in Chino Hills, we're talking about the same thing. We're talking about the same thing. See, Paul Ireton, all those guys, they were right where you are right now. They were right where you were right now. And I remember telling them, I said, hey, man, this is big. This is a huge opportunity for us. Those of you that seize the moment, well, guess what? Paul sees the moment. Nate sees the moment. Jeff sees the moment. Christopher sees the moment. Dr. Q sees the moment. Steve Haig sees the moment. Louise Haig sees the moment, right? And they went from SMDs to CEOs, to EMDs, to executive vice chairman, $500,000, $700 million a year income, built hierarchies and stuff like that. This is the time for you to seize the moment. This is the next generation of leaders, next generation of giants, right? Next generation of giants coming up to Synergy Financial. But it's not going to happen if you don't get wide. You got to get wide. You got to get big. You got to dream bigger than you've ever done before. See, the reality is when I was sitting down with my buddies last night, and when they were talking about their real estate game, I didn't think their deal was better than mine. I was like, our business is 50 times more better than that. Imagine being 65, 68 years old and your whole game is just talking about banks and collecting rent. What difference are you making there? You're not making any difference. I don't knock it, but I won't trade that from what I'm doing. I'd rather be building people. I'd rather be actually sitting there, you guys. I got bored really quick over there. It was like energy draining. Paul Ireton came over to the house the other night. Paul was there. Nate was there. We sat down social distancing in the back, smoking cigars, right? And let me tell you, that conversation was totally different. I could have stayed up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We were fired up talking about the business and fired up and excited and all of this stuff. See, WFG, where you're making a difference in people's lives and you're fixing an indifference, see, that never changes. I look at every Tuesday and Friday, actually Wednesday and Friday, I look at all the pay cycles. and I look at all the leaders that are making money, I go, man, isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? All these different leaders that are kicking butt, taking names, right? We want to see you. We see the reason that we're putting this content out for you is we want you to take that in. We want you to take that information and go win for your family. The best way, if I'm in Noel's base shop right now, if I'm on Natalie's base shop, or I'm on Natalie's team right now, the best way that I think, Natalie, is I get the information that I got. Don't become a library, right? Don't become a library where it's just like, oh, this is all great information. See, leaders take massive immediate action, right? How are you going to implement what you learned today? This is not a time to be walking around with your freaking robe and some pink house shoes, listening to some freaking piano music. This ain't that time. You got to get serious about your business, especially if you got 5 licensed agents. What are you casual about? Casualty is a mindset. It's a mindset. And if you have a casual mindset, you will become a casualty, right? Listen, you guys, don't take this opportunity for granted. Don't take it for granted. Don't take being on this team for granted. Don't take your leaders for granted, right? Because nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. And some people I know, they didn't understand the value of what they had till it was no longer there. Now, let's flip the script. What if you don't make it? What if you don't make it? You know, there's a big chance that you won't make it. There's a huge chance that you won't make it. I should do a whole presentation of all the people that were talented, that became SMDs, that even became 6-figure earners, that didn't make it, that quit. 5 years in the business, 3 years in the business, 7 years in the business. All of them had a story. There was always something that happened and they didn't make it. And they're right back doing what they used to do. You follow me? But I want you to think about it, because fear is a great motivator when you harness it the right way. Somebody told me the other day, he said, well, Dan, you know, I don't really like my leader, and that's why I don't show up to the Zoom meetings and blah, blah, blah. I said, what's that got to do with the price of tea in China? Is there people at your job that you don't like? Do you not show up at your job? Right? That's the most ridiculous thing that I ever heard of. Right? So here's the thing, you guys. It's time to tee it up. It's time to get a little intense. There's a lot of families out there that need help. Right? There's a lot of families out there that are looking for a real opportunity. So if you're pansy footing over some BS objections, like, oh, is this a multi-level? Is this a scam? Is this a pyramid? Shut up. Are you serious? You got to get intense with it. See, we give you this information to sell you, to convict you. You got to get more convicted. I was talking to my son the other day, and I said, hey, Jay, this has got to be in your heart, dude. See, WFG is in my heart. WFG is not what I do. WFG is who I am. See, see, when I was in the Marines, we used to say we bleed green. You follow me? We bleed green. I wasn't in the Marines. I am a Marine. There's a difference. I'm not in WFG. I am WFG. You got to feel like that about what you're doing. See, when you feel like that about what you're doing, see, people want to be, see, everyone that joins your team, you guys, I want you to remember this. They want to win. They want to win. And if you're pansying around and you're like, I don't know, I'm just trying this thing out, blah, 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 all this stuff, you ain't going to build a team. You're not going to build a team. See, this is why you got to master your craft. You got to be the best. You got to be the best on the phones. You got to be the best at the kitchen table. You got to be the best at fast starting your recruit, right? And you got to be able to do it in a timely manner, right? A timely manner. I want you to focus on how much time are you spending on the phones when you make a phone call to invite someone. Cut the fat out of all the stuff that you're doing. Get to the point. People like people that are direct but courteous. We do too much talking, right? Get to the freaking point faster, especially when we're doing these Zooms. That's why the BPMs from start to finish, we're done in 40 minutes. If you watch Netflix, right, and you watch all the shows, right, you know how long those series are? 30 to 40 minutes. They'll take a whole freaking movie, they'll turn it into a series, and they'll do 30-minute slots, 30-minute slots. See, you can't give everyone the business in one sitting for 2.5 hours. You got to give them 20, 30-minute slots at a time. You guys follow me on that? And we're going to talk about that on Monday morning. So anyway, I said I wasn't going to talk a lot, but I get fired up. You guys fired me up. I just want to tell you guys how much I appreciate you guys. I value you guys, and I value the leaders for taking the time, investing the time, really working on content and giving our team great content. And we're going to have all of this stuff on our YouTube page, and then utilize that, leverage that to send to your people that were not on the BFS class today. Okay, we're going to continue to do these. We're going to continue to bring you content, but here's what we want you to share. We want you to share some of the success stories. Some of you are doing some incredible stuff out there. Share the success stories. Not only great, some of you go, oh, I don't want to do that. I feel like I'm bragging. Shut up. Stop. Share your success stories. It inspires other people. You know why? Because this is a business, we can have what you have, right? So I want to know what you guys are doing out there in the field, right? I want to know how someone made 30,000, how someone made 20,000, and this person made 10,000. This person recruited 10, 15 people. Share what you're doing on GroupMe, right? I want a wave of good news every week. Every week, I want to hear good news. I want to hear what you guys are doing. And let's create momentum. Let's chop it up. And let's open a can of whip ass on the industry. Thank you guys. See you guys at the top.